First, the truth about sleep. Source: ChatGPT. Sleep is an important process for body recovery and brain remodeling. It is divided into several stages, including rapid eye movement sleep, REM, and non-rapid eye movement sleep, NREM. During sleep, the body repairs and grows. The brain consolidates memories, removes waste, and regulates the body's metabolic and immune functions. Poor sleep can have negative effects on the body and brain. Chronic sleep deprivation can lead to cognitive decline, mood swings, compromised immune systems, increased risk of heart disease and diabetes, and even affects quality of life and life expectancy. Requirements for sleep quality and quantity vary from person to person, but maintaining good sleep habits is crucial to good health. Avoiding the intake of stimulating substances, such as caffeine, maintaining a regular sleep time, creating a comfortable sleeping environment, and exercising regularly are all ways to improve sleep quality. If you have long-term sleep problems, it's best to seek advice from your doctor or sleep specialist. The less you sleep, the shorter your lifespan. The truth about sleep you need to know. Source: BBC News. Matthew Walker, a professor of neuroscience and psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, explains why you shouldn't envy those night owls. He also wrote the book Why We Sleep, which may change your lifestyle or extend your life. Walker understands that people are busy and have only 24 hours in a day, so their schedules always want to be filled to the brim. But looking at the evidence, it's a bit surprising that we don't try to get a few more hours of sleep every day. Epidemiological studies of millions of people all tell us the same thing: the shorter you sleep, the shorter your lifespan. So if you want to live a long life and stay healthy for as long as possible, you should get more sleep. Sleep should be the healthcare system of our dreams, the most democratic, free, and not at all bitter. In fact, sleep is so beneficial that Professor Walker is already lobbying doctors to prescribe it. However, sleep must occur naturally for the best results. Several studies have linked sleeping pills to an increased risk of cancer, infection, and death. Many diseases are related to lack of sleep. For example, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and even suicide. Sleep can fully renovate our body and mind. If you get less than 7 hours of sleep, your immune system and your cognitive abilities will begin to suffer. After being sober for 20 hours straight, you have the same effects as if you were drunk. One problem with sleep deprivation is that you don't realize at the time the damage it's doing to you. It's like a drunkard picking up the car keys and leaving the bar, insisting, "I'm not drunk, I really am not drunk." If we look at data from industrialized countries, we see a clear trend: over the past 100 years, we have slept less. If we sleep less, it's harder for us to enter the REM, rapid eye movement, stage. Interfering with REM is very harmful because it is essential to our creativity and is also vital to our mental health. There are several reasons why people are sleeping less and less. 1. Lack of knowledge. The scientific community knows how important it is to sleep well, but so far has not been able to communicate this effectively to the public. Most people don't understand why sleep is important. 2. The pace of life. Generally speaking, we work longer hours and spend more time commuting. We leave home very early and come back very late, and we also want to spend time with family and friends, watch TV. In the end, our time is eaten up at the expense of sleep. 3. Attitudes and concepts. Sleeping has an image problem. If you tell someone you slept for 9 hours, they might think you're lazy. As a result, many people brag about how little sleep they get each night. However, no one would say that babies who sleep all day are lazy, because we know that sleep is absolutely necessary for their development. However, as you age, this concept changes. 4. Environment. Now we live in a world that lacks darkness. However, we need darkness to release a hormone called melatonin to help us sleep soundly. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of society's progress is that we are constantly exposed to artificial light. With the birth of LED screens, this situation has worsened. 5. Temperature. Another unexpected side effect of social progress. We no longer experience the natural transition between cold and heat within a 24-hour period. We all want warmth in our homes, but we also need a little coolness to put us into sleep mode. Our brains and bodies need to lower their core temperature by about 1 degree Celsius, in order for us to relax and fall asleep in a natural way. Most of us turn our heating up too hot. If you want to sleep well, you should turn your home down to 18 degrees C at night. 2. Contemporary biology. Source: ChatGPT. There are many well-known scientific journals in the field of contemporary biology, which publish many important research results and academic papers. Here are some of the top scientific journals covering contemporary biology. Nature, known for its comprehensive coverage across multiple scientific fields, including biology, medicine, and the natural sciences. Nature publishes many biological research results with significant impact. Science. Journals like Science also cover a wide range of scientific fields, including biology. It publishes many cutting-edge research and review articles. Cell. Focus on the field of cell biology, covering cell structure, function, and molecular biology. The journal Cell publishes many important research results in the field of cell and molecular biology. Nature Reviews Genetics. This journal focuses on reviews and review articles in the field of genetics, providing an in-depth understanding of cutting-edge research in genetics. Trends in Ecology and Evolution. This journal focuses on cutting-edge trends and reviews in ecology and evolutionary biology. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences publishes many important studies in the field of biology, covering a wide range of scientific fields. Cell Stem Cell focuses on research in the field of stem cells and regenerative medicine and has published key research results in this field. These journals are important platforms in contemporary biological research. They publish many far-reaching studies and promote the advancement and innovation of biological knowledge. Source: Wikipedia. Current Biology covers scientific journals in various fields of biology, especially in the fields of molecular biology, cell biology, genetics, neurobiology, ecology, and evolutionary biology. The journal publishes 2 issues each month, including peer-reviewed research papers, various review articles, and some articles by the journal's editors. Current Biology was founded in 1991 and acquired by Elsevier in 1998. Part of Cell Press, a division of Elsevier since 2001. 3rd. California Institute of Technology Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Source: ChatGPT. The Howard Hughes Medical Institute, HHMI, at California Institute of Technology is a non-profit research institution in the United States dedicated to biomedical research. Founded in 1953 and headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland, it conducts scientific research in collaboration with several universities, including Caltech. HHMI is known for funding and supporting outstanding scientists and research teams to advance basic scientific research. The agency's focus is to encourage innovative and groundbreaking scientific exploration rather than specific purpose-based applied research. HHMI funding can support scientists' research projects, laboratory construction, academic training, etc. The institution also encourages scientists to conduct bold explorations and pursue new knowledge and breakthrough discoveries in their fields. California Institute of Technology, Caltech, is one of HHMI's partners, working with the agency to support scientific research. This partnership allows HHMI researchers to collaborate with Caltech scientists on cutting-edge biomedical research. Source: Wikipedia. Howard Hughes Medical Institute, HHMI, is a non-profit medical research institute in the United States. It was established in 1953 by the famous pilot and engineer Howard Hughes. As of late 2005, it was one of the largest privately funded biological and medical research organizations in the United States, second only to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. 4th. Inverted jellyfish exhibit a dormant-like state. Source: ChatGPT. The upside-down jellyfish is a special species of jellyfish that exhibits behavior described as similar to a dormant state. This state usually occurs during the day, when the upside-down jellyfish stops swimming and floats on the surface of the water, with its tentacles drooping. In this state, they appear to be in a dormant or stationary state, not actively swimming or hunting as they normally would. Although the state displayed by upside-down jellyfish is similar to hibernation, jellyfish do not have a distinct sleep pattern like mammals or birds. For the inverted jellyfish, this state may be more of a way to rest or conserve energy, rather than sleep in the typical sense. Scientists are still studying the behavior and state of jellyfish, especially their special dormant-like state. Understanding the biological basis of the inverted jellyfish's behavior is helpful for understanding the creature's lifestyle and adaptations, but research in this area is still evolving. Jellyfish said, "I have no brain, but I also love to sleep." Source: National Taiwan University Science Education Development Center. Sleeping well, like eating well and exercising regularly, are the 3 golden rules of modern life. Not getting a good night's sleep not only makes people feel bad, but also causes countless health hazards. We say that a good sleep is related to the brain processing the information learned, and it can help the brain properly store the information as long-term memory. We have also always said that a good sleep can help the brain remove the metabolic waste accumulated throughout the day. We even said in horror, without sleep, the brain will eat its own neuron cells. But when sleeping is endowed with so many high-level meanings, scientists can argue about a simple question: in the history of evolution, which creature first developed the behavior of sleeping? Is it an insect, fish, bird or beast? But the problem may not be so complicated. Recently, Dr. Leo Goentero's laboratory at the California Institute of Technology in the United States conducted a series of simple and cute experiments to return the big question of who falls asleep first to its basics. Does sleeping require a brain? If sleep is so important to the brain, does it mean that only creatures with a central nervous system need to sleep? Jellyfish have nerve cells, but there is no centralized central nervous system. The nerve cells of jellyfish are discretely distributed in the periphery. So, do jellyfish need to sleep? 3 doctoral students in Dr. Goentero's laboratory built an aquarium so that they could use photography to observe and record the behavior of jellyfish. They used several different strains of jellyfish from the family inverted jellyfish for their experiments. As their name suggests, these jellyfish of the family inverted jellyfish prefer to hang themselves upside down and appear to be suspended motionlessly in tropical waters, rather than swimming. They often form a symbiotic relationship with Symbiodinium algae that can perform photosynthesis. Another characteristic of upside-down jellyfish is that they vomit water very regularly, about once a second. By promoting the flow of water, the upside-down jellyfish can allow food to flow in, filter feed, or excrete metabolites, etc. This is an important behavioral mode for maintaining life functions. The definition of sleep can be as complex as judging by brainwave changes, but it can also be as simple as observing changes in behavioral patterns. Think about it: when we are asleep or napping, are we less responsive to external stimuli? Whether it's someone else's tapping or prodding, or sound or light stimulation, if you're asleep, it will be as if you haven't heard it. Students in Dr. Goentero's laboratory then wondered whether the same standard could be applied to jellyfish to see if jellyfish would have periodic responses, similar to the slow response of animals when they are asleep. The extremely regular behavior of inverted jellyfish spitting out water is an indicator that researchers can observe their behavior. Their findings were published in the October issue of the journal Current Biology. The researchers observed 23 upside-down jellyfish, and every hour, recorded the number of times the jellyfish spit out water in the previous 20 minutes. They used 12 hours of light and 12 hours of turning off the lights to simulate day and night. When there is light, the inverted jellyfish can push the water up and down an average of 1,155 times every 20 minutes, which is equivalent to about 60 times per minute, while in a dark state simulating night, the frequency drops by more than 30% to every 20 minutes. Push the water flow about 781 times, about 39 times per minute. However, the periodic behavior of the inverted jellyfish slows down, and it would be premature to directly use it as evidence that jellyfish can sleep. So students in Dr. Goentero's laboratory lifted the upside-down jellyfish from the bottom of the aquarium where they prefer to live, using a hanging basket-like device to the surface, and then observed how long it took for the upside-down jellyfish to swim back to their accustomed love nest. In broad daylight, when there is light, upside-down jellyfish react smartly, but at night, just like we stumble when we are awakened, upside-down jellyfish also take a longer time to return from the surface to their preferred bottom of the box. What's even more interesting is that if you deliberately interrupt the rest of upside-down jellyfish at night when they are inactive, they will also show symptoms similar to sleep deprivation and become sluggish in broad daylight the next day. And slow. This shows that the upside-down jellyfish, like us, has an absolutely indispensable need for sleep. In this way, the behavioral characteristics of the inverted jellyfish when they are not active at night are really very similar to the behavior of animals when they are sleeping. But the students in Dr. Goentero's laboratory were not satisfied with the results of their research so far. They conducted two more interesting experiments. First, if the upside-down jellyfish exhibits behavioral characteristics similar to those of us who are disturbed by jet lag when deprived of sleep, then can the favorite melatonin that is often used to relieve jet lag also be used? How about a good night's sleep with the upside-down jellyfish? As a result, the inverted jellyfish that were given melatonin actually fell asleep like crazy. When we have a cold and a stuffy nose, the antihistamines prescribed by doctors sometimes make people feel sleepy. Does this have a similar effect on upside-down jellyfish? The answer is yes. This research result from Dr. Goentero's laboratory is eye-catching because they used the most fundamental behavioral observations to answer a question that has been debated in the scientific community, providing an interesting new angle. Do jellyfish sleep? According to the logic of Dr. Goentero's lab, the answer to this question is as basic as asking, can you tell the person sitting next to you is sleeping? Their research also inspired many research directions. For example, if the individual behavior of the upside-down jellyfish has characteristics similar to sleeping, can some clues about similar characteristics be seen in the activity of individual neurons? If this hypothesis is also verified in the activity of inverted jellyfish neurons, then it can be seen that the need for sleep may not only be required by the central brain. For individual nerve cells, sleeping well is also indispensable. Fifth, Nature magazine. Source: ChatGPT. Nature is an internationally renowned scientific journal covering multiple scientific fields, including biology, chemistry, physics, earth science, etc. It is one of the most influential and prestigious scientific journals in the world. Nature was founded in 1869 and is famous for publishing important original research results and scientific reviews. It is highly regarded for its rigorous peer review system and rigor in scientific research. Many major scientific discoveries and groundbreaking research results are published in Nature for the first time. In addition to original research papers, the magazine includes scientific reviews, news, critical articles, and book reviews. Its impact lies not only in the published research itself, but also in its ability to provide the scientific community and the public with authoritative information on the latest scientific advances. Nature publishes once a week and provides an important communication platform for researchers in the global scientific community, helping to promote the dissemination of scientific knowledge and the development of innovation. Source: Wikipedia. Nature, English, Nature, is one of the world's earliest scientific journals and one of the most authoritative and prestigious academic journals in the world. It was first published on November 4, 1869. While most scientific journals today specialize in a particular field, Nature is one of the few. Others include Science and Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, that still publishes primary research papers from many scientific fields. In many fields of scientific research, the most important and cutting-edge research results are published in the form of short articles in Nature every year. 6th. How do fish sleep? Source: ChatGPT. Fish have a need for sleep, but they don't do it in the same way as other animals, such as mammals or birds. Fish do not enter a deep sleep stage like humans, but enter a state called locomotor sleep or quiescent state. In this state, fish typically slow down their activity and become still, but their brains remain somewhat alert. The sleep state of fish may manifest itself in behaviors such as slowing down swimming speed, stopping activity, or hiding in shelters. Fish sleep patterns and needs vary from species to species. Some fish may hang out in areas with weak currents, remaining relatively still, while other fish may hide under rock or plant cover and slow their movements. This behavioral pattern may be related to the living environment and life history of the fish. For example, some ocean fish may need to constantly swim to keep water flowing through their gills in order to obtain oxygen. Therefore, their sleep patterns may favor slowing down movement in a safe environment, but not stopping it completely. In general, the way fish sleep is different from that of mammals. Their sleep state is more similar to a semi-sleep or relaxed state, maintaining a certain degree of alertness. Source: Blessings in the World. Scientists have proven that sleep helps the brain function, so all animals need sleep, whether in the ocean or on land, after a tiring day. People have a lot of interest and curiosity in the sleeping conditions of animals, regardless of their sleeping postures and patterns. For example, humans sleep lying down and horses sleep standing up. So how do fish without limbs sleep in the water? People who have pet fish at home always like to observe their behavior in front of the fish tank. So some people always wonder, how do fish sleep? Normally, cats and dogs have to close their eyes when resting. Most fish have no eyelids in their eye structure, commonly known as eyelids. They keep their eyes open for many years without closing their eyes to rest. So when do they? Asleep? Before answering your questions, you can first understand the structure of fish eyes. Although fish have no eyelids or tear glands, they have a layer of film to protect their eyes. The crystals in fish eyes are spherical and cannot change their curvature, so most of them are myopic. The reason why it has no eyelids is that it lives in water and does not need eyelids to block dust like land animals, so it can sleep without closing its eyes. There are hundreds of different sleeping states of fish just like land animals. Some fish will stay still, float, or hide in rock crevices, caves or sand. Carp and crucian carp are used to burrowing into aquatic plants, and snapper likes to sleep on rocks. Sleep in the back. There are also lemon sharks that have to be placed on the sand to sleep. The most special thing is the parrotfish. When it sleeps at night, it will spit out a layer of transparent mucous membrane to cover itself, a bit like a blister. This can block blood-sucking insects and prevent its natural enemies from smelling the smell and approaching. Because fish react more slowly and breathe more slowly when they sleep, they must protect themselves in a safe environment. Not all fish sleep motionless. Generally, fish with migratory habits have to sleep while swimming, such as tuna, mackerel, and shark. They rely on swimming to allow oxygen in the water to enter the body to achieve ventilation. If you don't do this, you will really sleep forever. Most fish sleep according to the clock of sunrise and sunset. Some fish sleep during the day and are active at night, such as loaches. Less common are some fish that live in caves for many years because they do not have day and night exchanges, activity or sleep time. It relies on the adjustment of the body's biological clock. Without light and shadow stimulation, vision will naturally deteriorate, as if only the gills are left open and closed to breathe. 7th. Ants are higher organisms that can sleep. Source: ChatGPT. Ants are insects that do sleep. Ants have a resting pattern that is different but similar to the sleep behavior of higher organisms such as mammals and birds. Ants' sleep patterns differ from humans in that they don't have distinct states of sleep and wakefulness like we do. Instead, ants tend to rest in short bursts rather than in the long, deep sleep of mammals. Ants will often cease activity and slow down their movement in a nest or safe place, and this resting state often alternates between resting and foraging. This resting state helps them maintain vitality and energy so that they can move and work effectively when needed. Although ants' sleep patterns are different from those of mammals, they do have a need to rest, which is crucial for their energy recovery and regulation of body functions. Why don't creatures like ants need sleep? Expert, is it credible to exchange life for it? Source: Renren Focus. Our daily rest time accounts for about 1/3 of the day. Adequate sleep can keep us in good spirits and have a good mental outlook when working. Therefore, the importance of sleep to the human body is self-evident. We humans can rest for about 7 hours a day. Of course, this also depends on each individual's situation. Some animals have very different sleeping conditions, such as snakes and bears. They like to hibernate and spend the entire winter sleeping. There are also some animals that are contrary to the common schedule of humans. They come out to be active at night and sleep during the day. But why don't creatures like ants need to sleep? Some experts said, life is exchanged for it. It is understood that some ants sleep for so short a time that they almost never sleep at all. In the eyes of us humans, it is simply incredible. How can they carry out their daily work without rest? In order to get a more accurate answer, some scientists created a laboratory environment suitable for the growth of ants, raised some ants inside, and set up cameras to carefully observe the condition of the ants. Experiments have found that the queen of this type of ant sleeps on average more than 9 hours a day, and these 9 hours also include the time the queen takes a nap. The worker ants can only sleep for more than 4 hours a day, and these 4 hours are intermittent and are accumulated by the hundreds of naps the worker ants take in a day. In this laboratory environment, we can find that worker ants cannot sleep well. They have many tasks every day. They not only have to find food, build houses, do housework, etc., but they also have to be ready to fight at any time to resist outsiders. Invasion. For this reason, the worker ants cannot sleep, and only the queen ant can have a good rest every day. It is understood that the average lifespan of worker ants is very short, only about 6 months to 1 year, while the queen ant can live for several years. It seems that their lifespan is probably related to their sleep time. So, with such short sleep time, how can worker ants have enough experience to complete their daily work? Scientists tell us that the main reason for this is that ants have relatively small brain capacity and are easier to recover. A short period of sleep is enough for them to restore their energy. So they almost never sleep, and they spend their lives in exchange for it. 8th. Why living things need sleep. Source: ChatGPT. Sleep plays a vital role in living organisms, and there are several reasons why living things need it. Body repair and recovery. Sleep is an important process for body repair and recovery. During sleep, cell repair and regeneration contribute to muscle growth, tissue repair, and immune system function. Brain function. Sleep helps regulate and restore brain function. It helps consolidate memory, learning, thinking and problem-solving skills, promotes creative thinking, helps the brain remove waste and improves cognitive abilities. Energy balance. Sleep helps maintain the body's energy balance. Lack of sleep may lead to metabolic disorders, affect hormone levels, increase appetite, and ultimately affect weight control. Emotional and mental health. Good sleep is closely related to emotional stability and mental health. Lack of sleep can lead to increased mood swings, anxiety, and depressive symptoms. Necessary for survival. For many animals, sleep is a necessary survival mechanism. In the wild, the exact function of sleep may be related to hiding, protection, avoiding predators, or conserving energy. Although science still has many unanswered questions about the exact role and mechanisms of sleep, sleep is vital to the health and survival of organisms. Sleep is not only a state of rest, but also a necessary process for maintaining and improving body and brain functions. Do you really need to sleep off a third of your life? The scientific significance and functions of sleep. Source: Science Monthly. In recent years, sleep-related issues have gradually received more attention. The main reason is that more and more people are suffering from sleep disorders. According to a 2019 survey by the Taiwan Medical Association, the prevalence rate of chronic insomnia in Taiwan is about 10.7%. In the United States, more than half of people have complained about being unable to sleep. At least 30 million American adults are affected by it, suffering from severe long-term insomnia. In addition, more than 10 million Americans suffer from sleep apnea, and the prevalence rate of patients with the genetic sleep disorder narcolepsy is about January 2000. Many people even have sleep disorders but do not care about themselves. No. In fact, sleep problems or sleep disorders usually accompany increasing age, and are related to circadian rhythm disorders and increased life stress. How does sleep occur and how is it regulated? The production of sleep is mainly controlled by the brain central nervous system, while the peripheral nervous system or peripheral structures have minimal impact on sleep. It cannot be said that there are none, but it is quite rare. The main regulatory mechanism is still in the brain. Sleep takes up more than 1/3 of our day. Readers can think about how much time they spend on sleep in total in life. A person probably needs at least 8 hours of sleep a day. If you live to be 60 years old, you will spend a total of 20 years sleeping. Just imagine, how much can be done in 20 years, why do we spend so long on a seemingly useless sleeping behavior? In fact, sleep must have its function, but why is sleep needed? What is the function of sleep? At present, many scholars studying sleep have put forward hypotheses and verifications about sleep function, but they are all like a blind man trying to fathom an elephant. What research has discovered are only partial functions of sleep, and it is impossible to fully know the true and complete functions of sleep. To study sleep, we must define what sleep is. The original definition of sleep is a reversible behavioral state in which the senses are disconnected from environmental stimulation and the response becomes slow during sleep. This is a sleep behavior defined from a behavioral perspective. However, it is now known that this definition is not correct. Although the external sensory stimulation transmitted to the central system is indeed reduced when we sleep, these sensory stimulations can still be transmitted to our brain, but they will be reduced because they are suppressed. Sleep is not just a behavior, it is actually a basic physiological need. Just like people's thirst and hunger, it is a physiological state necessary for organisms to maintain survival and life. Readers should have this experience. After staying up late one night, there is a strong driving force driving us to catch up on sleep the next day, which is irresistible. If a rat is completely deprived of sleep, the rat will die, which means that sleep is a very important and indispensable behavior in survival, and it is also a necessary physiological state to maintain survival. Sleep can be mainly divided into two different types. The first is called rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep, and the other is non-rapid eye movement sleep, non-rapid eye sleep. Movement sleep, NREM sleep. Non-rapid eye movement sleep is divided into stages N1, N2, and N3 from light sleep to deep sleep. The N3 stage of deep sleep is also called slow wave sleep. Sleep structure. Normal people entering sleep from the waking stage must enter the N1 stage of non-rapid eye movement sleep, and will not directly enter rapid eye movement sleep, otherwise it will be narcolepsy. The N1 stage is the stage between waking and sleeping, that is, between waking and sleeping. It is easiest to be awakened at this stage. The proportion of N1 stage is only about 2 to 5% of the overall sleep, and a significant increase in the proportion of N1 can be observed in insomnia patients, which means that the probability of being awakened in insomnia patients increases. After the N1 stage lasts for about 1 to 5 minutes, it then enters the N2 stage. N2 accounts for the largest proportion of overall sleep, about 45 to 60%, so this stage is also called the baseline of sleep. After that, it enters the N3 stage of deep sleep. It is difficult to wake up from this stage of sleep. After about 15 to 30 minutes, it will return to the N2 stage, and then enter the rapid eye movement sleep, forming a sleep cycle. Each sleep cycle is about 90 minutes, and the entire 8-hour sleep will go through about 4 to 6 cycles. The first 2 cycles, about the first 3 hours of falling asleep, will enter the N3 stage, and the following cycles are mainly composed of N2, and rapid eye movement sleep are composed of sleep, and the ratio of the two increases in the early morning. Waking up from sleep can occur from N2 stage or rapid eye movement sleep. The human body exhibits different physiological phenomena during each sleep stage. During the waking stage, it mainly presents desynchronized electroencephalograms, EEGs, consisting of high-frequency, low-amplitude alpha waves, 8 to 13 Hz, and beta waves, 13 to 30 Hz, dominate. At this time, physiological values such as respiratory rate, heartbeat, and blood pressure are higher, and muscle tension is greater. The brain waves of sleep N1 are composed of slower theta waves, 4 to 7 Hz, and alpha waves. At this stage, the brain wave frequency, breathing rate, heartbeat, blood pressure, and muscle tension will all increase with the increase in sleep depth. Gradually decrease. When entering the N2 stage, the changes in brain waves and physiological values are similar to the N1 stage, but in the N2 brain wave there will be a 13 Hz sleep spindle and a 1 to 2 Hz K-complex wave, K-complex. Currently, sleep spindles are known to be related to memory consolidation and memory reactivation. In N3 slow wave sleep, synchronized brain waves, synchronized EEGs, will appear, mainly dominated by low-frequency, high-amplitude delta waves, 0.5 to 4 Hz. Brainwave frequency, breathing rate, heartbeat, blood pressure, muscle tension is reduced to a minimum, but muscle tone is still present. When entering the rapid eye movement sleep stage, alpha waves and beta waves are dominant. At this time, the breathing rate, heartbeat, and blood pressure all increase. The brain waves will be similar to those when awake, but the muscle tension will completely disappear, muscle atonia. Because the brain is in a highly activated state, this stage is also called paradoxical sleep or active sleep. During the rapid eye movement sleep stage, brightly colored but illogical, fragmented dreams will occur. This stage is also considered to be related to memory solidification. To sum up, non-rapid eye movement sleep may be related to memory solidification and memory activation, as well as fatigue and energy recovery, while rapid eye movement sleep may be related to memory solidification. The amount of time needed to sleep usually decreases with age. Newborn babies sleep for about 12 to 20 hours, and the only time they wake up is to drink milk. Moreover, the proportion of babies sleeping in REM sleep accounts for half or even more than half. It can be seen that REM sleep is very important for newborn babies. The main reason is that at this stage, the baby's brain nervous system has not yet been fully connected and established. So REM sleep can help the brain build these neural circuits. The second reason is that many things are novel to them in the infant stage, so they must learn and remember. Rapid eye movement sleep is related to the solidification of learning and memory, so the proportion of rapid eye movement sleep will also follow the increase. As age increases, the proportion of sleep decreases. What are the functions of sleep? The following are several main functional theories, each with its own basis and reasons for not being accepted. 1. The theory of avoiding natural enemies. The scholars who proposed this theory mainly believe that the temporary suspension of movements during sleep can avoid the attention of natural enemies, thereby reducing the chance of being captured. However, those who oppose this argument believe that some animals have already developed the behavior of suspended death, so there is no need to develop sleep behaviors that reduce alertness to avoid being hunted by natural enemies. 2. Repair function theory. The scholar who proposed this theory believes that sleep repairs the wear and tear of the body system during the day. However, various organs and systems of the body continue to operate during sleep, and some parts are even more active than when awake. In addition, the overall protein synthesis does not increase due to sleep. 3. Energy conservation theory. Scholars believe that sleep can reduce metabolic rate and body temperature to conserve energy. The main reason against this theory is that the metabolic rate of human beings only decreases by 10% during sleep, but they spend 1/3 of their lives sleeping. Moreover, the 10% metabolic rate reduced by sleep can actually be easily achieved by resting or drinking an extra glass of milk, without the need to make up for it through sleep. For developmental function theory, babies need sleep to help their own development. Rapid eye movement sleep may be beneficial to the development of cerebral cortex, vision, movement, nerve cell selection, etc. Another theory is that slow-wave sleep helps the development of the cerebral cortex. 5. Theory of behavioral solidification and advanced learning function. Scientists believe that some instinctive behaviors that cannot be practiced normally are practiced during sleep. French sleep researcher Michel Jouvet destroyed the dorsal pontine tegmentum in cats, destroying the muscle relaxation characteristics that cats should have during rapid eye movement sleep. The results showed that cats can perform some instinctive behaviors of attack and resistance during rapid eye movement sleep. This shows that cats usually rehearse instinctive behaviors in their brains during sleep without actually executing them. There are also other theories that sleep contributes to moderate forgetting, memory enhancement, and the operation of higher intelligence, such as human cognitive operations, emotional regulation, personality development, and the establishment of social skills. 6. Theory of improving the function of the immune system. Scholars believe that sleep helps maintain the function of the immune system. It is currently known that changes in the operation of the immune system will cause changes in sleep time. When sleep time is reduced, natural killer cells will also decrease by 30%, and the remaining white blood cells will also become less active. 7. The ultimate brainwashing theory. Deep slow-wave sleep can effectively remove protein metabolites from the brain that have cell-damaging toxicity. There is a channel in the glial cells, glia, in the brain called the glymphatic system, which has functions similar to the lymphatic system. The use of cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, in this system can take metabolites produced by the brain out of the brain, especially the removal of beta amyloid, so sleep can effectively prevent the occurrence of Alzheimer's disease caused by the accumulation of beta amyloid protein in old age. The main regulation of sleep relies on two mechanisms. One is called homeostatic factors and the other is called circadian rhythm. Constant factors refer to some neurotransmitters related to sleep. Their concentration is low when awake. Later, these sleep substances will slowly accumulate, and when the accumulation reaches the highest level, the sleep stage will be entered. It is currently known that there are some brain areas, such as the locus coeruleus, lateral hypothalamic area, substantial nigra, ventral tegmental area, and dorsal raphe nucleus, basal forebrain, and tuberomatoid nucleus, tuberomamillary nucleus, are all related to the regulation of wakefulness. The neurons in the preoptic area, basal forebrain, and ventrolateral preoptic area are related to the mechanism of non-rapid eye movement sleep. As for the regulation of rapid eye movement sleep, the pedunculopontine nucleus and the dorsolateral tegmental nucleus are responsible, and these two nuclear areas are affected by the locus coeruleus and the dorsal raphe nucleus. Of inhibition. The regulation of the circadian rhythm cycle is endogenous and has nothing to do with the previous amount of sleep. Light controls the activity of the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, of the hypothalamus, which in turn affects the pineal gland. A mechanism that releases melatonin to regulate the sleep rhythm cycle. Only by understanding the sleep-related mechanisms can we further develop treatment strategies for sleep disorders. Before using medications to treat sleep disorders, non-drug treatments can be used, such as improving sleep hygiene or through cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. If you want to improve your sleep through sleep hygiene habits, the first step is to maintain a regular sleep schedule and only go to bed at a fixed time. The bed and the dormitory can only be used for two things: one is sleeping, and the other is sex. These are the only two things that can be done in the bed. In addition, do not sleep during the day, do not drink tea, caffeine, and other irritating drinks before going to bed, and do not smoke or eat too much food, and avoid a bad sleeping environment, usually too hot, too cold, too noisy, or too bright. It's a poor sleeping environment. You also need to avoid strenuous exercise before going to bed, and do not exercise within 2 or 3 hours before going to bed. However, exercise is actually a good way to promote sleep. You must exercise regularly, but try to complete it before 3 p.m. and not later than 5 p.m. There are also stimulating methods of controlling sleep, such as lighting. Lighting can induce the release of melatonin at night and promote sleep. In some areas where there is no sunlight for a long time, residents who suffer from depression or sleep disorders are usually caused by light, so light is a very important factor. Another approach is sleep restriction, which uses relaxation training and cognitive therapy to promote sleep. When none of these methods work, sleeping pills are a last resort. Sleep is a necessary physiological need and has specific functions. As mentioned before, normal sleep physiological functions can help connect the brain's neural network, solidify memories, and remove neurotoxic proteins from the brain. In addition, long-term sleep disorders may increase the risk of cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, such as epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, metabolic diseases, such as diabetes, obesity, as well as inflammation and infection. Therefore, having normal sleep is a necessary condition for maintaining health and maintaining body functions. 9th. Lower creatures also need sleep. Source: ChatGPT. Lower organisms also have sleep or sleep-like behaviors. The definition of sleep may vary depending on the species of organism and the complexity of its nervous system, but many organisms exhibit a sleep-like state to some extent. For example, insects, crustaceans, and other invertebrates often exhibit hibernation or resting behaviors. They may choose to stop moving, find a safe place, slow down their metabolic activity, or slow down their perception and reaction speed to rest. Although their sleep behavior may be different from that of higher organisms such as mammals or birds, this resting state has important effects on their physiological and behavioral states. Even microorganisms may have a state similar to rest or dormancy. For example, certain bacteria may enter a dormant state when environmental conditions are unfavorable to protect themselves and prolong their survival. Although sleep patterns and performance may vary across organisms, this state of rest is important to an organism's survival and health. This state often helps conserve energy, repair tissues, promote growth and development, and protect organisms from potential dangers at the right time. Do all animals need sleep? Do lower animals also need to sleep? Source: Daily Headlines. Sleep is not only an indispensable physiological phenomenon for humans, but also a widespread behavioral phenomenon in the animal kingdom. However, due to differences in living conditions and metabolism, various animals sleep in very different ways, places, times, and even sleeping positions. Generally speaking, there are two standards for judging whether an animal is sleeping: external and internal. The external standard is that the animal has been in a state of immobility for a long time and has a slow response or no response to external stimuli, while the internal standard can detect sleep. Brain waves. While some animals sleep for very short periods of time, most animals sleep for many hours, often without leaving their sleeping spot. There is no doubt that the vast majority of vertebrates need sleep. In fact, sleep phenomena also exist in invertebrates, and they are very similar to the sleep of vertebrates. This shows that the occurrence of sleep phenomena in animals has gone through a long evolutionary process. Of course, it seems meaningless to talk about sleep problems for life forms that are too low in complexity, but sleep-like resting states already exist in mollusks such as slugs. Octopus does not close its eyes when sleeping, but shrinks its pupils very small, breathes slowly, and its skin turns yellow or brown-gray. Sometimes the wrist on the alert is raised and rotated like a radar antenna. Among arthropods, especially fruit flies, cockroaches, bees and many other insects, as well as scorpions, they all have obvious sleep characteristics during the inactive period. For example, when wasps are active, their chests heat up from muscle movement, and when they are quiet, their chests become cold. Many species of wasps are quiet most of the night, always hanging low with their antennae hanging down. During this period, the wasp's respiratory rate and metabolism decreased, and this quiescent state is reversible, that is, external stimulation can awaken the wasps, which shows that they are not in a dormant or comatose state. Drosophila flies sleep in a face-down position. The fruit fly stays like this for 7 hours every night, except for the occasional twitching of its legs and antennae. As the night slowly passes, the fruit fly moves more and more, and finally wakes up. Butterflies and moths choose specific sleeping spots, which are often the best places to hide. Some species also adopt specific sleeping postures. For example, the antennae of the Mediterranean mealybug are stretched forward under normal circumstances, but when sleeping, they fall backward and stick to the wings. The two antennae cross each other and the ends are hidden under the wings. They are extremely insensitive to external stimuli while sleeping, and even have no reaction when one of their wings is lifted and returned with a microscopic brush. The phenomenon of sleep is more obvious in vertebrates. When sleeping, fish stay quietly on rocks, under rocks, on sand, or burrow into sand piles, sometimes hiding in aquatic plants. Some fish change color while sleeping, which may be related to defense. However, since fish have no real eyelids and their eyes are completely exposed and cannot be closed, some people think that fish always sleep with their eyes open. In fact, this is not the case. They just sleep with their eyes open. When sleeping, snakehead fish likes to bury its body in the gravel and bend down to lie on its side. Puffer fish also sleeps with its body bent up, using water plants or stones as a backrest. Plaice and flatfish among the flatfish lie on the seabed during the day, but float when sleeping at night. Some young soleils swim to the surface of the water in the evening, then bend their bodies into a T-tray shape, stay still, and enter a sleep state. The mullet disperse at night, each fish entering its own sleeping territory on the seafloor. At this time, their heads point in different directions, stop swimming, and start to fall asleep. If they are harassed by outsiders at this time, they will immediately float up one after another, and soon form a school of fish swimming in parallel with their heads facing the same direction. The most interesting thing is the parrotfish that lives in coral reefs along the Atlantic coast. It puts on and takes off its pajamas before and after sleeping. Before falling asleep, they secrete a large amount of mucus from their skin and weave it into pajamas to wrap their bodies. There is an opening at the front and back ends of the pajamas to allow sea water to escape. Circulation occurs in the pajamas to ensure they can continue to breathe while sleeping. At dawn, they immediately take off their pajamas and resume normal activities. Those fish that migrate long distances in the deep sea or ocean can only sleep while floating in the water, so they are called sleep swimming of fish. At this time, they will stop the activities of various organs appropriately, or only make some movements. Among amphibians, toads sleep with their eyes closed and their heads lowered. Tree frogs are too lazy to jump up when stimulated during sleep. Axolotls like to sleep in groups suspended in the water, with aquatic plants holding them up below. At this time, their response to stimulation is very slow, and the frequency of gill activity is greatly reduced. Interestingly, amphibians, mammals and birds all have specific patterns of brain electrical activity during sleep, but reptiles do not, because the brains of reptiles are morphologically different from those of other vertebrates. Therefore, it is difficult to find a unified sleep signature among them. In fact, brain activity in reptiles is similar during sleep and activity, and in many ways is similar to non-sleeping brain activity in mammals. Therefore, the main way to know if a reptile is sleeping is to observe their behavior. For example, the duck returns to a branch every day as the sun sets and displays a specific posture, eyeball retrieval, throughout the night, a clear behavioral sign of its sleep. The sleep of dolphins and other marine mammals is even more peculiar. The two hemispheres of their brains never enter sleep at the same time, but the left and right hemispheres take turns to rest. They usually close one eye and open the other, turning sideways in circles, occasionally surfacing to breathe. Then they turn around, close the other eye, and sleep with the other half of their brain. Every 10 minutes, their activity state will change, very rhythmic. 10th. The difference between sleep and coma. Source: ChatGPT. Sleep and coma are two different states with obvious physiological and behavioral differences. Sleep. Natural state. Sleep is a natural physiological state of living things that is cyclical and usually occurs at specific times of the day. Reversibility. Sleep is reversible, that is, a sleeping individual can be awakened by external stimuli. Physiological process. During sleep, the activities of each body system remain running to some extent, including breathing, heartbeat, brain activity, etc. Sleep has multiple stages, including REM, rapid eye movement, and non-REM stages, which alternate during the sleep cycle. Coma. Unnatural state. Coma is an abnormal state caused by external factors such as disease, trauma, or drugs, in which the individual is in a state in which he is unable to wake up on his own. Difficult to arouse. Unlike sleep, individuals in a comatose state usually do not wake up due to external stimuli. Nervous system damage. Coma may be caused by severe damage to the nervous system, impaired brain function, or the effects of drugs, which severely interfere with or completely stop brain function. In general, sleep is the body's natural physiological state and a reversible periodic state of rest, while coma is an abnormal state, usually caused by disease, injury, or other external factors, resulting in the individual losing consciousness and ability to respond. The difference between the two is what causes the state, the reversibility of the state, and the differences in body and brain activity during the state. How can one tell whether a person is asleep or unconscious? Source: Daily Headlines. Many people are unable to distinguish between sleeping and coma, but in medicine, there is an essential difference between the two. Sleep is a normal physiological state of human beings. When called or slightly stimulated by the outside world, we can quickly wake up to a awake state and quickly enter a working or studying state. Coma is a relatively serious disorder of consciousness in medicine and can be divided into many levels. The most serious manifestation is complete loss of consciousness, which cannot be awakened by any strong external stimulation. So how can people distinguish between sleep state and coma? First of all, people need to have a clear concept of the degree of consciousness disorder in some human bodies, from shallow to deep. 1. Sleep state. The sleep state is a normal physiological rest caused by unconsciousness of the human body and can be easily awakened. 2. Drowsiness. Somnolence is the mildest disorder of consciousness in medicine. A drowsy patient can generally be awakened and do some work, but the patient's mental state is not good and it is easy to fall asleep again. 3. Blurred consciousness. Patients with this symptom have unclear consciousness, are unable to remember some very detailed things, or have certain obstacles. 4. Lethargy. After the disorder of consciousness reaches this level, a person can only wake up under a strong stimulus, but he is no longer able to correctly receive information from the outside world, and it is easy to fall asleep again. 5. Coma. There are also different levels of coma: light coma, moderate coma, deep coma, and the degree of disturbance of consciousness increases in sequence. Because there is no disturbance of consciousness in a person's normal sleep state, and the degree of disturbance of consciousness in coma is very deep, it is still easy to distinguish. People in a sleeping state are easily awakened from sleep by slightly louder sounds or some slight external stimulation. People who are in a coma are basically unable to wake up through artificial stimulation, and their brains are no longer conscious. Coma is a relatively long-term state of loss of consciousness, while sleep is a normal and regular state of rest for humans. Coma is characterized by reduced physical activity and reduced awareness of surrounding things. Severe disturbance of consciousness, coma, incontinence of urine and feces, and abnormal blood pressure may also occur. In addition, sleep state and coma state can also be seen through the external manifestations of some people. The breathing of people in the sleeping state is generally relatively stable and the frequency is relatively high. A person in a coma will also breathe slower because of the extremely slow metabolism in the body, although the overall breathing is still relatively stable. Moreover, people's eyes may move during sleep, but they will not move when they are in coma. 11th. Lack of sleep. Source: ChatGPT. Lack of sleep has a huge impact on both physical and mental health. This can manifest in many ways. Impaired cognitive function. Lack of sleep can affect attention, concentration, memory, and learning abilities. Chronic sleep deprivation may lead to cognitive decline, affecting decision-making and creative thinking. Emotional and mental health issues. Lack of adequate sleep can lead to mood swings, irritability, anxiety, and depression. Lack of sleep has been linked to mental health problems and may exacerbate existing mental health problems. Impaired immune system. Adequate sleep is crucial for the immune system. Chronic sleep deprivation can weaken your immune system and increase your risk of colds, flu, and other illnesses. Physical health problems. Lack of sleep has been linked to a range of physical health problems, including cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, metabolic disorders and digestive problems. Impact on quality of life. Lack of sleep may impact daily life. Fatigue and lack of energy can affect work, study, and daily activities, and reduce the quality of life. Establishing healthy sleep habits is essential for physical and mental health. Maintaining a regular sleep schedule, creating a comfortable sleeping environment, avoiding stimulating substances, such as caffeine, regular exercise, and relaxation techniques can all help improve sleep quality. If you have long-term sleep problems, it's best to seek advice from your doctor or sleep specialist. Source: Wikipedia. Sleep deprivation, also known as sleep insufficiency, or sleeplessness, refers to insufficient sleep time and/or sleep quality to support good alertness, performance, and health of an individual. Symptoms may be chronic or acute, with varying degrees of severity. Acute sleep deprivation is when an individual sleeps less than usual, or no sleep at all for a short period of time, usually lasting 1 to 2 days. Chronic, long-term, sleep deprivation is when an individual sleeps for less than an ideal length of time over a long period of time. Chronic sleep deprivation is often confused with insomnia. While chronic sleep deprivation and insomnia are both reductions in the length and/or quality of sleep and impairment of body function, the difference lies in the ability to fall asleep. People who are sleep deprived can fall asleep quickly under normal circumstances, but people with insomnia have difficulty falling asleep. Restricting your sleep schedule over a long period of time can have detrimental effects on your brain and cognitive function. In some cases, however, sleep deprivation can increase energy, alertness, and improve mood. Sleep deprivation has even been used as a treatment for depression, but its long-term consequences have not been evaluated. Few studies have been conducted on the comparison of the effects of acute total sleep deprivation and long-term partial sleep restriction. It's uncommon for humans to go without sleep for long periods of time, unless they suffer from fatal insomnia or specific problems caused by surgery, and brief microsleeps seem inevitable. Long-term complete sleep deprivation can lead to death of experimental animals. 12th. Melatonin. Source: ChatGPT. Melatonin is a hormone secreted by the pineal gland and is often called the sleep hormone. It plays an important role in regulating the body's biological clock and sleep cycle. Melatonin secretion is regulated by light and dark light. When the light is dim, the pineal gland begins to secrete melatonin, which signals night to the body and promotes sleep. The secretion of melatonin gradually increases with deep sleep at night and gradually decreases under the influence of light in the morning. It plays an important role in regulating the body's biological clock, improving sleep quality and maintaining sleep cycles. For this reason, melatonin is also used as a sleep aid, sometimes in the treatment of insomnia or jet lag. In addition, melatonin is also thought to have certain effects on the immune system and overall health, but its exact role in these areas is still being studied by the scientific community. Source: Wikipedia. Melatonin, also known as melatonin, pineal gland, or melatonin, English, melatonin, abbreviated as MT, chemically named N-acetyl-5-methoxytryptamine, is an essential substance for life. Small molecule indoleamines are found in animals, plants, fungi, and bacteria. In animals, melatonin is a hormone that regulates the biological clock. Its effects may be different in other organisms, and similarly, the synthesis process of melatonin in animals is also different from other species. Melatonin is also a neurohormone synthesized and released in the pineal gland. This neurohormone plays a positive role in improving sleep disorders, mood disorders, and enhancing learning and memory. It can be taken orally or as a spray or transdermal patch. Melatonin is an over-the-counter drug in the United States and Canada, and a health food, such as the main ingredient of melatonin, in mainland China. 13th. Hydra. Source: ChatGPT. Hydra is a group of organisms belonging to the phylum Invertebrates that usually live in water. Hydra belongs to the subphylum Chordata and is an extremely simple creature with primitive structure and physiological characteristics. Hydroids usually live in shallow areas of fresh water, and they can inhabit still or slow-flowing waters, such as rivers, ponds, or lakes. Their bodies are about 1 to several centimeters long, elongated, with many segments, and sometimes appear transparent or translucent. The main characteristic of hydras is that they have a simple notochord, which is why they are classified as chordates. Hydroids are benthic invertebrates that feed on plankton, humus, and other small organic matter. Their movements are usually slow and have a certain indicator effect on water quality and ecosystems because they are very sensitive to changes in water quality and aquatic environments. Although hydras are not as eye-catching as some other aquatic organisms, they play an important role in the ecosystem as a link in the food chain, participating in the balance and stability of aquatic ecosystems. Source: Wikipedia. Hydra, scientific name, Hydra, belongs to the class Hydrozoa in the phylum Cnidaria. It is a multicellular invertebrate, including buds, and testes. The most common ones are brown hydrops, H. fusca, green hydra, H. viridis. Hydra has nothing to do with hydra, they are just similar in name and appearance. The tubular and radially symmetrical body can be seen by the naked eye when extended up to 10 mm. It has a mouth at the upper end and is surrounded by 5 to 12 small tentacles, which are covered with stinging cells and are used to explore, capture prey, defend, and assist in movement. The body and the tentacles can contract and extend several times. The base can slide away from attachments or move in an inchworm-like manner. Hydras are generally very small, only a few millimeters, and are usually studied under a microscope. Hydra is mainly composed of stem cells, with very few fully differentiated cells. 14th. Cnidarians. Source: ChatGPT. Cnidaria are a group of invertebrates that are widely found in the ocean. One of their characteristics is that they have special cell structures called cnidocytes, which are used to capture prey and defend themselves. Cnidarians have a relatively simple body structure, usually divided into 2 layers, ectoderm, and endoderm, with a stomach cavity in between. This simple structure is one of the clear differences between them and other animals. Cnidarians include well-known organisms such as jellyfish, corals, sea anemones, and polyps. They appear in a variety of forms, with some creatures free-floating and others anchored to rocks or other surfaces. The stinging cells of cnidarians are one of their most distinctive features. Stinging cells contain structures that release venom and are used to capture prey or defend themselves. When stinging cells are stimulated, venom is released to paralyze or kill prey, or for self-defense. This specialized cell structure of cnidarians is an important part of their survival and predatory strategies. Cnidarians are important to marine ecosystems, not only as a food source but also as an important component of coral reefs and other ecosystems. But due to their sensitivity and ecosystem changes, cnidarians are also vulnerable to environmental changes. Source: Wikipedia. Cnidaria. Scientific name: Cnidaria, also known as Cnidaria and Cnidaria, is a phylum under the subkingdom Eumetazoa. There are about 16,000 species, all living in water, including fresh water, seawater or other saltwater habitats. Cnidarians once formed the phylum Coelenterata together with ctenophores, but with the understanding of the differences between the two animals, more and more scholars agree that ctenophores should be separated from cnidarians. Recent phylogenetic analyses support that cnidarians are a monophyletic group and sister group to bilaterians. Fossils of cnidarians have been found in rocks that formed about 580 million years ago, and other fossils suggest that corals may not have emerged until around 490 million years ago and diversified millions of years later. However, molecular clock analysis of mitochondrial genes suggests that the crown group is much older, estimated to be around 741 million years ago, 200 million years earlier in the Cambrian period than any fossils appear. 15th. Hydra sleeps. Source: ChatGPT. Hydras are a group of simple organisms that do not have well-defined sleep patterns like mammals or birds. Because their nervous systems and physiological structures are relatively simple, they do not have an obvious sleep state like higher organisms. The life activities of Hydra are usually continuous, without obvious sleep cycles like mammals. They may have some resting behaviors, such as slowing down movement during specific periods, staying in fixed positions, or reducing foraging, but this behavior is different from mammalian sleep states. The behavior of Hydra is mainly affected by factors such as environment, food, and physiological state. They usually adjust their activity patterns as their needs change, rather than having a fixed sleep time like mammals. Although simple organisms such as Hydra may not have clear sleep patterns, they still have rhythms of rest and activity to adapt to their living environment and maintain their physiological functions. Sleep has nothing to do with brain function. Jellyfish need sleep too. Source: Tomorrow Science. Sleeping behavior discovered in jellyfish. If humans stay awake for a long time, it will become very difficult to think. Fortunately, just taking a short nap is enough to get our brains running quickly again, but have you ever wondered when animals start to need sleep? And why? Is having a brain a prerequisite for sleep? In a study that helps understand the evolutionary origins of sleep in animals, an international team of researchers shows that tiny, water-dwelling hydra exhibit sleep-like states despite lacking a central nervous system. And the sleep of evolved animals has a lot to do with molecular reactions. We have strong evidence that animals develop brains, said Taiichi Ito, assistant professor at the College of Arts and Sciences at Kyushu University in Japan, in a research report published in the journal Science Advances. The need for sleep has existed before. Sleep behavior has also recently been discovered in jellyfish, a close relative of Hydrozoa and a member of the class Ophiomorpha, by researchers from Kyushu University in Japan and Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology in South Korea. The study found that several chemicals that cause drowsiness and sleep in humans have similar effects on common hydra. The sleep state mechanism of hydra. Based on our findings and previous reports on jellyfish, we can conclude that sleep movements evolved independently of the brain. However, there are still many questions to be answered about how animal sleep occurs, but Hydra provides scientists with an easy-to-study biological source to further study the detailed mechanism of sleep states in brainless animals to help them explore the relationship between sleep and the brain sex. Hydras are usually only a few centimeters long. They have decentralized neural networks but lack centralized functions related to the brain. Usually researchers monitor sleep status based on brain wave measurements, but for small animals without brain function, this is not possible. This technique is completely unworkable, but fortunately there is another way. The researchers used a video system to track the movement of hydra to determine when they are in a sleep state. The sleep state in this case is defined as hydra movement. Reduce. Researchers found that hydra does not repeat itself every 24 hours like humans with a circadian rhythm, but instead exhibits a 4-hour alternating state of activity and sleep. Depriving them of sleep causes genetic changes. Finally, the researchers exposed hydra to melatonin, a common sleep aid, which modestly increased the amount and frequency of sleep, and to the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA, another neurotransmitter associated with sleep activity in many animals. Chemicals significantly increase the sleep activity of hydra. While some sleep mechanisms appear to be possible, other mechanisms may have altered brain function during brain evolution, Ito said. In addition, the researchers also used vibration and temperature changes to interfere with the sleep of hydra. This study prolonged the hydra's sleep time the next day and even inhibited cell proliferation. The researchers investigated more carefully and found that after depriving them of sleep, it resulted in significant changes in 212 genes, one of which was related to PRKG. PRKG is a protein involved in sleep regulation in various animals such as mice, fruit flies, and nematodes. Ito said, taken together, these experiments provides strong evidence that animals acquired sleep-related functional mechanisms before the evolution of the central nervous system, and that many aspects of these mechanisms are conserved as the brain evolves. 16th. Sleep state is the original state of living things. Source: ChatGPT. The sleep state is considered a universal characteristic of many organisms, but whether sleep is the original state of organisms is still controversial. Sleep appears to be a physiological state that developed gradually during biological evolution. There are many organisms that exhibit sleep-like behavioral patterns, not just mammals and birds, but also some invertebrates and other lower-level organisms. These behaviors include immobility, slowing down activities, resting with eyes closed, etc., although their nervous system and physiological structure are very different from mammals. The sleep state is very important for the survival and health of living things because it helps restore energy, maintain physiological balance, promote brain function, strengthen the immune system, etc. However, different species of organisms vary greatly in their sleep patterns and needs, and some may not even have the clear sleep state of mammals. Although sleep is considered a universal biological phenomenon, different types of organisms may have different forms of rest and recovery patterns. These behaviors may have developed gradually during evolution to adapt to different living environments and biological needs. When did the biological world evolve sleep? Source: Zhu. The most primitive organism that can currently observe a sleep-like state is the nematode, whose full name is Sinorhabditis elegans, C. elegans. In the scientific research of life sciences, nematodes have the same status as mice, and are even more popular in scientific research than mice. Workers favor it. Nematodes are hermaphrodites, and adult nematodes are about 1 mm long. Their status needs to be observed under a microscope. The average lifespan of nematodes is 2 to 3 weeks, and they enter the lethargus phase, proper noun, lethargus sleeping sickness, before each molt, which also implies that sleep may be related to the development process. Birds and mammals can judge whether they are asleep or awake by monitoring brain waves. For other animals more generally, sleep is a state that is different from wakefulness, with reduced muscle tension and insensitivity to external stimuli. For each type of animal may have other characteristics, such as brain waves and eye movements, adopt fixed postures, and have a roof over its head, but an animal's sleep generally occurs in recurring 24-hour cycles. Compared with birds and mammals, fish have neither eyelids to close their eyes nor a neocortex to monitor brain waves, and some fish swim all the time, so some people suspect that they never sleep. Monks use the reason for the wooden fish is that the fish cannot close its eyes day and night. But if the fish remains still and unresponsive to external stimuli, we think it is sleeping, and whether this state has a 24-hour cycle is also an important criterion. The sleep of reptiles can already be monitored through electroencephalography. In a 2016 paper in the journal Science, researchers detected brain waves in bearded dragon lizards that were similar to those of mammals in different sleep stages. The sleep of birds and mammals can be divided into non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. NREM includes the deep sleep stage. There are obvious differences in brain wave frequencies in different sleep stages. Those who are interested in sleep monitoring can see other content under the topic of sleep. The sleep of birds is very interesting. They can sleep alternately between the two hemispheres of the brain. When the left hemisphere sleeps, the right eye is closed, and when the right hemisphere sleeps, the left eye is closed. This can effectively avoid predator attacks. So theoretically, birds can fly and sleep at the same time, but for scientists, there is no way to monitor brain waves when birds are flying. Herbivores sleep very little, and horses sleep less than 3 hours a day, but they are drowsy most of the time when they are not sleeping. Humans sleep relatively less time among omnivores, while carnivores sleep longer. Cats have the impression that they have bright eyes at night, but they can sleep at any time, and their sleep time is evenly distributed throughout the day, unlike humans who only sleep once a day to twice. If it is a metabolic cycle with a 24-hour cycle, the most primitive organisms currently observed are cyanobacteria. The 24-hour biological clock of plants is easier to observe, such as photosynthesis and respiration that we may have all learned. Mimosa opens its leaves at dawn every day and closes its leaves at dusk. Do you think it is sleeping? At present, we mainly judge whether an organism is in a sleep state through brain activity, and sleep can also affect the nervous system, so plants and animals cannot be generalized. The nematode mentioned at the beginning is already a complex animal with thousands of cells. We study nematode because it is a common experimental animal in biological laboratories. Perhaps more primitive animals have already experienced this sleep-like state. And if we look at brainwaves, only reptiles can barely qualify as having sleep. Research on the melatonin gene shows that the gene encoding melatonin can be traced back to 700 million years ago. Melatonin is closely related to the biological clock, but it cannot be used as a criterion for judging sleep. This question is confusing because we don't fully understand the meaning of sleep for each level of organisms. If these are clear, perhaps we can answer whether single-celled organisms have sleep. 17th. Brainless, no nerve center, creatures also need to sleep. Source: ChatGPT. For organisms without brains or central nervous systems, such as bacteria or certain single-celled organisms, they generally do not have as well-defined sleep states as mammals. These creatures do not possess nervous systems and therefore do not have distinct sleep and wake cycles like those that do. However, even these simple organisms may exhibit cyclical patterns of activity and rest during their life cycles. For example, some bacteria may change their activity and resting states based on environmental conditions to adapt to external stress or changes in nutritional conditions. This periodic change in activity may be similar to the resting state in living things, but is different from the sleep state in mammals. Although these nerve center-less creatures may not have a defined sleep state like mammals, they may adapt their physiological activity patterns to external conditions based on environmental demands. This adaptability may be a way for them to survive and reproduce. Jellyfish. Sleeping doesn't require a brain. Source: Sohu. It turns out that brainless creatures, like jellyfish, also need to sleep. This extraordinary discovery, made by scientists at the California Institute of Technology, makes sleep even more mysterious to us. When you're sleepy and finally fall asleep, nothing can disturb your sleep. At least that's how it works for me. My colleagues have to suffer from my alarm clock, while I can continue to dream on the sofa. If we are unable to sleep due to certain circumstances, the brain malfunctions until it eventually shuts down. This familiar pattern suggests that sleep is deeply linked to higher neurological functions and that sleep can restore cognitive function. It seems we must have a brain to be able to sleep, or so we used to think. Paul Sternberg, a biologist at the California Institute of Technology, and colleagues wanted to figure out what kind of brain an animal would need if it had to sleep. While studying jellyfish of the genus Cassiopeia, they discovered that sleep doesn't require the brain at all. This particular jellyfish floats motionless in shallow water with its tentacles facing the surface. In order to eat and eliminate waste, jellyfish swallow about once per second. The researchers used special motion sensing cameras to study 23 jellyfish in the aquarium, monitoring them day and night for a week. At night, the jellyfish's swallowing and swallowing movements dropped to 39 times per minute, compared with 60 times per minute during the day. Are they sleeping when they slow down? The researchers brought the jellyfish from their resting places at the bottom of the aquarium to the surface and tested their reaction times. At night, the jellyfish's response to returning to the bottom of the aquarium is much slower than during the day, just like a person who is dazed when being suddenly awakened. The research team sent pulses to the aquariums every 20 minutes during the night for 6 or 12 hours. They found that the jellyfish were less active the next day than other unaffected jellyfish. While jellyfish affected by water pulses were no longer affected during the night, they seemed to recover the following day. This is consistent with sleep deprivation in animals with big brains. Interestingly, if the researchers put some food into the aquarium, the jellyfish also became active again. It's like the smell of coffee waking you up in the morning, Sternberg says. Eventually, the biologists treated the jellyfish with melatonin, a hormone associated with sleep initiation and a common drug that puts people to sleep quickly. This hormone can make jellyfish sluggish, and the study, published in Current Biology, has important implications for sleep research. This is important because the nervous system of jellyfish is very primitive, which suggests that sleep is likely a fundamental process that evolved very early, Sternberg said. Although jellyfish don't have a brain, they do have a circular nervous system embedded in their bell-shaped bodies. These latest findings suggest that nerve cells, or clusters of nerve cells, also need rest. Even more interestingly, jellyfish, one of the earliest creatures on the tree of life, suggest that sleep may be as old as life itself. 18th. Plants evolve into animals. Source: ChatGPT. Plants and animals are two different categories in biological evolution. There are important biological differences between plants and animals, primarily in their nutritional patterns, cell structure, and physiological characteristics. Plants obtain energy from sunlight through photosynthesis and use nutrients in the soil to create the organic matter they need. They have features such as cell walls, chloroplasts, and cytoplasm, structures that help them absorb light energy and perform photosynthesis. Animals obtain energy and nutrients by ingesting organic substances. They have specialized tissues and organs, such as digestive systems, nervous systems, and motor organs, which are used to obtain food, digest food, sense the environment, and move. The evolutionary relationship between plants and animals is very complex, and they have developed different characteristics and adaptations during their evolution. Although they are both basic forms of life, plants and animals followed separate evolutionary paths, each adapting to different lifestyles and survival strategies. In nature, no examples have been found of plants evolving directly into animals or vice versa. They are two distinct groups of organisms, each with unique biological characteristics and lifestyles. Have plants evolved into forms that are invisible to humans? Is it possible for plants to transform into animals? Source: Renren Focus. In recent years, botanists from China and the University of Exeter have discovered a strange phenomenon. A plant called Caladium in China's Hengduan Mountains is becoming increasingly invisible. They become more and more similar to the background color of the mountains in order to avoid human harvesting. During harvest season, they can easily disappear from view if you don't look closely. Like chameleons, caladiums are evolving into new color forms. Unlike bamboo, which evolved to become stronger, and eucalyptus, which evolved to become more flammable, caladiums evolved due to human behavior. Usually, the evolution of plants in nature is driven by animal predation and competition with other plants, but caladiums have become increasingly invisible to humans simply because of thousands of years of long-term harvesting by humans. In order to survive, they have become increasingly invisible to humans. Thousands of years ago, Fritillaria was recorded in the Shen Nong's Materia Medica as a traditional Chinese medicine. Its bulbs are shaped like shells, hence its name. It is often used as medicine to relieve coughs and remove blood stasis. The Chuanbei and Pingbei that we often hear are among them. Due to the widespread demand of caladiums in traditional Chinese medicine, they have shown very direct and dramatic changes in coloration over thousands of years. Botanists compared the level of camouflage with the harvesting level of local people and found a strong correlation between the two. The higher the level of camouflage, the more difficult it is to collect and the smaller the harvest volume. Throughout the evolutionary history of plants, it is not difficult to find that they are becoming more and more advanced and complex. 3.5 billion years ago, extremely primitive and low-level cyanobacteria appeared in the Earth's oceans. After the Cambrian period 500 million years ago, blood vessels evolved in algae, making them hard and able to land on land. During the Devonian period 300 million years ago, the naked ferns and mosses among plants evolved in different directions. It is not difficult to see today that the descendants of the naked ferns clearly stand in a more advanced position than the mosses. A large number of naked ferns became extinct over time, and one of them evolved into a fern that became the protagonist of the earth for a long time. At this time, they had a developed root system and tall stems, grabbing a lot of nutrients upward and downward. During the Permian period, various climate zones on the Earth were formed. Some descendants of ferns were more adapted to the climate due to the exposed seeds, that is, the rise of gymnosperms. Because the reproductive component of ferns is spores, they can only germinate in places with a mild and humid climate. As you can imagine, the vitality of seeds is so strong that they can germinate well in different climate zones. Therefore, gymnosperms have replaced ferns in their dominant position. Afterwards, the gymnosperms took a lower position, and among them the clade that could better protect their seeds, the angiosperms, flourished. To this day, angiosperms have always been the protagonists of the plant world. From aquatic to terrestrial, from undifferentiated to differentiated, plants have embarked on an evolutionary path from simple to complex. And its shape also changes greatly, showing the result of adapting to the living environment. It used to be fluttering, distant, soft and single because of the single environment. Then it became tall and developed, and then it became complex and differentiated in all its parts. It was also because the simple environment turned into an environment with many factors. It can be seen from this that what the form of plants will evolve into depends on how the Earth's environment will develop. If the physical and chemical factors of the Earth's environment become more complex, plants will become more differentiated, but their overall shape will not change significantly, while various organs will undergo numerous subtle changes. If the Earth's environment becomes homogeneous, plant forms will undoubtedly become homogeneous again. As for how the Earth's environment will change, it currently seems most likely to depend on humans. Plants will most likely not evolve into animals. The reason why animals are able to move is because of the transmission of electrical signals between nerve cells and nerve tissues, conditioned reflexes in response to external stimuli, and chemical signals to promote movement. Plants do not have nerve cells and cannot transmit electrical signals. However, some scientists believe that electrical signals can be transmitted between plant cells, but the speed is extremely slow compared to animals. Some plants have special triggers that can make large movements in a very short time. 19th. 5 mass extinctions. Source: ChatGPT. There have been 5 major mass extinction events in Earth's history, leading to the extinction of large numbers of species. These mass extinction events are known as the 5 Great Extinctions. The first mass extinction, end of the Ordovician about 450 million years ago, caused the extinction of a large number of marine life, especially marine life, possibly due to declining oxygen levels or other geological and climatic factors. The second mass extinction, end of the Devonian period about 360 million years ago, resulted in the mass extinction of terrestrial and marine life. It could be caused by climate change, falling sea levels, volcanic activity, or other geological events. The third mass extinction, End Cretaceous. This is one of the most famous mass extinction events, occurring approximately 66 million years ago. This extinction, which wiped out the dinosaurs and many other plants and animals, is thought to have been caused by giant celestial bodies impacting the Earth, volcanic eruptions, or climate change. The fourth mass extinction, End Eocene, approximately 36 million years ago, resulted in the extinction of many marine species, possibly due to climate change and ocean acidification. The fifth great extinction, modern, the current mass extinction event that has led to the extinction of a large number of species and ecosystems due to factors such as environmental pollution, habitat destruction, climate change, overfishing, and loss of biodiversity caused by human activities. Crash. These mass extinction events have had a huge impact on Earth's biodiversity. Each event has caused large-scale species extinctions and had long-term effects on ecosystems and biological evolution. Source: Wikipedia. The extinction events of the 5 major biological groups were first identified in a paper published by David Ropp and Jack Sikowski in 1982. Ordovician-Silurian extinction event occurred in the late Ordovician or the transition period between the Ordovician and Silurian, 445 million years ago to 443 million years ago. About 27% of families and 57% of genera became extinct. The number of genera classified from extinct organisms ranks second among the 5 mass extinction events. The direct cause was that the gamma-ray burst released by an extreme supernova destroyed half of the Earth's ozone layer, causing the ultraviolet rays released by the Sun to hit the Earth, causing the death of a large number of organisms on the ground and near the sea, thus destroying the food chain. Late Devonian extinction event, 375 million to 360 million years ago, close to the Devonian Carboniferous transition period. This time it was mainly marine life that became extinct, and terrestrial life was not significantly affected. About 19% of families and 50% of genera are extinct. This mass extinction event lasted for nearly 20 million years, with multiple extinction peaks during this period. The disappearance of reef-building organisms, the extinction of bamboo stony species, 3 orders of brachiopods, and the extinction of more than 10 families of radiant corals was called the Keller-Wasser incident, also known as the Franz Fame incident. Because of the long duration of the extinction event, its origins are difficult to identify. The possible biological reason is that terrestrial plants multiplied in large numbers during the Devonian period, which led to an increase in oxygen content in the Earth's atmosphere, a significant decrease in carbon dioxide, and the Earth's entry into the Karoo Ice Age. Terrestrial plants have evolved well-developed root systems that penetrate several meters below the surface soil, accelerating the weathering of terrestrial rocky soil. Large amounts of iron and other elements are released into surface water, causing an explosion of eutrophication in the water system and leading to anoxic events on the seafloor. The sedimentation of abundant organic matter on the ocean surface has caused a large amount of atmospheric carbon dioxide in the global carbon cycle to enter the seafloor sediments, which has also intensified the cooling of the Earth. The Devonian was also the period when large coal fields were created on land, which also intensified the solidification of carbon dioxide into the lithosphere. Permian-Triassic extinction event occurred during the Permian-Triassic transition 250 million years ago. This is the largest known mass extinction event in geological history. Entire orders or suborders of many animal phyla were wiped out during this extinction event. The once widespread Glossopteris flora was almost completely extinct. The trilobites that flourished in the early Paleozoic era all disappeared. There were originally more than 40 genera of the genus, but they completely disappeared at the end of this life. 10 families of ammonites became extinct. There were previously 140 genera of brachiopods, but few remained after this event. A total of about 57% of families and 83% of genera, 53% of families, 84% of genera, and about 96% of species, and an estimated 70% of terrestrial species, including insects, became extinct. The effects on plants are less clear, but new plant taxa became dominant after this extinction. There are almost no coal fields formed in the early Triassic in the world. Possible causes of this mass extinction event include the massive basalt eruption in Siberia that melted combustible ice in nearby shallow seas and released a large amount of greenhouse gas methane. The formation of Pangaea changed the Earth's circulation and ocean current systems, etc. Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. The Triassic-Jurassic transition 200 million years ago. About 23% of the families and 48% of the genera, 20% of the families and 55% of the genera of marine organisms, a total of 70 to 75% of the organisms became extinct. Including most non-dinosaur archosaurs, most therapsids, and almost all large amphibians at that time, the cause is still unclear. This mass extinction event caused the dinosaurs to lose many competitors on land, while non-dinosaur archosaurs and diapsids continued to dominate the oceans. Although most of the species in the order Lipospondylida became extinct, one species, Chorosaurus, survived in Australia until the Cretaceous before becoming extinct. The Cretaceous Paleogeny extinction event, abbreviated as the KT extinction or KT event, commonly known as the Great Dinosaur Extinction, 66 million years ago, about 17% of families and 50% of genera became extinct. Although its degree of extinction only ranks fourth among the 5 major extinctions on Earth, it is unusually well known for its complete destruction of non-avian dinosaurs. The cause is generally believed to be a meteorite impact in the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. 20th. Giant sequoia. Source: ChatGPT. Giant sequoia usually refers to a type of tall coniferous tree, also known as sequoia. They are a fast-growing, tall tree that grows primarily in the temperate regions of western North America, especially California and Oregon. Giant sequoias can grow very tall and sturdy, with some trees exceeding 300 feet, about 91 meters, tall and over 20 feet, about 6 meters, in diameter. Their trunks are very thick and their bark is thick and reddish-brown. Giant sequoias are widely considered to be among the tallest and most spectacular trees in the world. They have a long lifespan, some of which are over 2,000 years old. Due to their height and historical value, they have become important targets for forest protection and nature conservation. These trees are not only part of the natural landscape, but also play an important role in the ecosystem. They play an important role in forest ecosystems, providing habitat, regulating climate, and conserving water, among other functions. Giant sequoias are also an important part of tourist attractions and nature reserves, attracting a large number of tourists. Source: Wikipedia. Giant sequoia, scientific name, Sequoiadendron giganteum, commonly known as the Lord of the World, is the only species of sequoia genus in the family Cupressaceae. Mainly distributed in the western Sierra Nevada mountains of California, USA. Positive trees grow quickly and are extremely long-lived. Propagate by sowing, but seedlings are susceptible to diseases. Giant sequoias are the largest of all trees. The giant sequoia is not only the largest redwood tree, but also the largest living creature on Earth. It can grow to an average length of 50 to 85 meters, 164 to 279 feet, and has a diameter of about 5 to 7 meters, 16 to 23 feet. The tree's highest recorded height is 93.6 meters, 307 feet, and its maximum diameter exceeds 10 meters, 33 feet. One of the giant sequoias, the General Sherman tree, located in the Giant Sequoia National Park in the Sierra Nevada, is 83.8 meters, 275 feet, tall, with a base diameter of 11.1 meters, 36 feet, and a trunk circumference of 31.1 meters, 102 feet. The tree is still 5.3 meters, 17 feet, in diameter at a height of 18.3 meters, a diameter of 4.3 meters, 14 feet, at a height of 54.9 meters, and a maximum branch diameter of 2.1 meters, 6 feet 11, at a height of 39.6 meters. Inch. The estimated weight in 1985 was approximately 2,800 metric tons, 2,800 long tons, 3,100 short tons. It is estimated to be about 2,150 years old, which should be no more than 3,100 years old. Its volume reaches 1,487 cubic meters, 52,500 cu-foot, making it the largest existing single organism on Earth. There were once several larger giant sequoias, but due to the discovery in the late 19th century after subsequent felling, it has disappeared. 21th. The scariest plants on Earth. Source: ChatGPT. In the plant kingdom, there are some plants that are considered to be scary in some way because of their special growth habits, toxicity, or other characteristics. This fear may refer to the plant's impact on the environment, its growth characteristics, or its potential danger to humans and animals. Here are some plants that are considered somewhat special or intimidating. Carnivorous plants, for example, pitcher plants, Venus flytraps, etc., which live by catching insects and have special ways of catching insects, may be considered to be scary to some extent. Poison weeds or poisonous plants. Some plants contain highly toxic substances, such as datura, poison ivy, dangerous datura plants, etc. Their toxicity is potentially dangerous to humans and animals. Discomforting or frightening appearance. Some plants are considered scary because of their special appearance, such as vampire vines, parasitic plants, or special tree forms. Invasive species with the ability to grow violently. Certain plant species have extremely strong growth capabilities and can quickly invade the ecosystem and destroy the original ecological balance. Therefore, they may be regarded as terrible plants with potential threats to the environment. However, these plants are mostly beneficial to the ecosystem and are not always dangerous to humans. Special properties of plants are often adaptations to their environment or prey. For humans, proper understanding and careful handling of these plants are key to avoiding potential dangers. What is the scariest plant in the world? Source: Daily Headlines. Maubert. A plant from the Indonesian island of Java. It is 8 to 9 meters high and has long branches. It arranges branches with spikes around itself. When animals or people approach and touch the branches, other branches immediately surround the prey from other places. Then, it secretes extremely sticky glue from the branches, and humans and animals are gradually digested. After eating, grab it. The kind of person who eats from the bowl, looks at the pot, and thinks about the window. Strangler fig, Ficus aurea. Native to the Americas, the strangler fig is a parasitic tree that plants its seeds into another tree until its roots grow and wrap around the trunk, eventually killing the host. This plant is rogue and drags its host to death. Doll's eye, Actea pachypoda. Baby's eye is a weird perennial plant native to northern United States. It is 30 to 45 centimeters tall and has white berries. Named for its eye-like berries. The doll's eye doesn't look very scary, but its poison can kill you instantly. Corpse flower, Amorphophallus titanum. Corpse flower also has a more vivid name, Corpse smelly Amorphophallus. This flower grows in the Sumatra Islands. It is about 150 years old and is expected to reach a height of about 1.8 meters. It is the largest flower in the world. It is named corpse flower because it emits a corpse-like smell when it blooms. The corpse flower's corolla has the strongest odor when it matures. The large number of flies and beetles attracted by the odor help it spread pollen. At the same time, the corpse odor emitted by the corpse flower will also increase sharply. Sheep-eating tree, Puya chilensis. The goat-eating tree, whose scientific name is Chilean Puya pineapple, is a tall plant that lives in Chile and can grow up to 3.66 meters high and 1.52 meters wide. It sounds incredible that the sheep-eating tree can eat sheep. That's because its flowers have sharp thorns. Once lambs or other small animals are trapped by its flowers, they will be in danger. Although the sheep-eating tree cannot directly eat animals, the small animals trapped by it will eventually starve to death, and the sheep-eating tree can absorb nutrients from the decaying animal carcasses through the soil. But its growth cycle is very long, and it takes 20 years to grow to its maximum size. Hemorrhagic tooth fungus. There are many different forms of bleeding tooth fungus, but this one is definitely the scariest. These things that slowly ooze out like blood are actually its juice. Some people also call it cream and strawberries. Whore lips. The plant, called celery, is found in the tropical rainforests of Central and Southern America. Its bright red buds resemble flaming lips, and it is a very popular plant for expressing feelings. It is already on the verge of extinction. Morel-like mushrooms. Real morels are very valuable, selling for about $20 a pound, but inexperienced foragers will harvest fake mushrooms that contain carcinogens and have serious consequences. This mushroom accounts for 20% of the people who die from mushroom poisoning every year. Purple lumpy mushrooms. This mushroom looks like an intestine. It is non-toxic and tasteless and can be eaten. But I don't know if you dare to eat it. Dracaena. This kind of tree looks very much like something left by aliens on Earth. 22th. Giant sequoia triggers thunder. Source: ChatGPT. Due to their height, especially tall objects that protrude above the horizon, such as trees, buildings, mountains, etc., may be more likely to become targets of lightning strikes during thunderstorms. When lightning occurs, it usually takes the shortest path to the ground, and tall objects may become targets of lightning strikes. Trees are particularly vulnerable to lightning strikes because they tower into the sky over large areas and can also stand out against the terrain. However, not all tall objects are targets of lightning strikes. The choice of lightning strike target usually depends on the lightning path and the environment surrounding the object. Even more prominent objects may not be struck by lightning. During thunderstorms, you should try to avoid standing near tall objects to reduce the risk of being struck by lightning. Giant sequoias that are not afraid of fire. Source: Yahoo News. Sequoia National Park is famous for its many rare giant sequoias, one of which is called General Sherman and is considered the largest tree in the world, with a height of 84 meters. The diameter of the base is 11 meters, and the trunk may require 7 or 8 people to surround it. According to scientific judgment, the tree may be 2,300 to 2,700 years old. Compared with it, what are humans? It has been able to survive for so long because the giant sequoia has never been afraid of wildfires. Its height and trunk are enough to withstand ordinary fires and its leaves cannot be burned. It is even more welcome to prescribed burn. What does that mean? It turns out that in the last century, wildfires were an important part of the natural cycle of forests. On the one hand, wildfires can clear excess vegetation, eliminate pests, and make room for new trees to grow. On the other hand, the burned humus actually enriches the soil of fertilizer. However, in recent years, due to the greenhouse effect and extreme weather conditions such as high temperatures, wildfires have become more frequent and fierce, and can actually threaten this unicorn in the forest. Take the California wildfires in September 2021 as an example. The fires and strong winds were enough to destroy this park with a large forest. Even where General Sherman is located, local firefighters had to wrap the tree and the giant tree with aluminum foil. The base of other redwood trees in the cedar forest to protect against the heat. The general has lived for nearly 3,000 years. I hope he will not die in our generation. We really need to take the climate issue seriously. 23th. Sleeping can secrete large amounts of growth hormone. Source: ChatGPT. Sleep has an important impact on the secretion of growth hormone. Growth hormone is a hormone secreted by the pituitary gland during sleep at night, and its secretion is usually greatest during the early stages of sleep. Growth hormone is essential for the body's growth and repair, especially during childhood and adolescence. It helps promote bone and muscle growth, enhances immune system function, and is involved in the regulation of metabolism. Sleep is a key factor in promoting growth hormone secretion. Deep sleep stages, especially non-rapid eye movement sleep, are usually the most active period of growth hormone secretion. Therefore, maintaining adequate sleep time and high-quality sleep can help promote the secretion of growth hormone. Children and teenagers receive more growth hormone during sleep, which is critical for their growth and development. However, it should be pointed out that growth hormone is not only secreted during sleep. It is also secreted at certain periods during the day, but the secretion is more concentrated during sleep at night. The impact of sleep quality and duration on growth hormone secretion is a complex issue, but the role of sleep in promoting growth hormone secretion and making full use of it cannot be ignored. It's important to get a good night's sleep. Grasp the best sleep time for growth hormone secretion and seize the key 4 hours for height growth. Source: Yahoo News. Eating well and sleeping well are two key factors for growth, and the best time for human growth hormone to be secreted is when you are hungry and when you are asleep. Yang Chen, Director of Icahn Children's Growth Clinic and adjunct attending physician at the Department of Pediatric Genetics, Metabolism, and Endocrinology of Taipei Medical University Hospital, said that during the day, growth hormone is secreted less, while during sleep at night, it is the time when growth hormone is secreted in large amounts. Especially from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., it is the golden period of sleep and the most active time of growth hormone. Don't miss this key moment to help grow taller. Yang Chen pointed out that 11 o'clock in the evening is the peak of melatonin secretion. To enter the deep sleep period at 11 o'clock, you must fall asleep at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening to be able to enter the deep sleep stage at 11 o'clock. However, this is not suitable for school students. The child said that it seems to be difficult to achieve. What should be done better? Yang Chen reminded parents to complete their children's homework as soon as possible. If they have to tutor until 9 p.m., they can jump rope and do some activities before going to bed, and then take a bath. Do not use 3C 1 hour before going to bed. Drink a cup of warm milk or eat a banana. Develop the habit of sleep ritual. Once the daily habit is fixed, you can naturally go to bed at a fixed time. Melatonin is a hormone secreted by the pineal gland in the pituitary gland of the human body. It controls the sleep status of the human body. When melatonin is secreted strongly, the body will feel sleepy and enter deep sleep. At this time, blood sugar will decrease. Growth hormone secretion will increase. These methods can be used to help melatonin secretion. Exposure to the sun. Exposure to the sun increases the gap between melatonin during the day and night, allowing you to sleep well at night and helping to increase melatonin secretion at night. Turn off the lights to sleep. Sleeping with the lights on will inhibit the body's secretion of melatonin. It is best to keep the room dark when sleeping. Increase exercise or activity. Exercising more or increasing activity during the day can reduce the secretion of melatonin during the day, making it easier to fall asleep at night. It can also help increase the secretion of melatonin at night. The nap time should not be too long. It is best to take a nap for 20 to 30 minutes, and should not exceed 40 minutes, so as not to affect your sleep at night. 24th. Unable to control sleep duration. Source: ChatGPT. The body has a natural biological clock and will naturally wake up after a certain amount of sleep. This may be because the body has a habitual response to a specific sleep cycle, usually waking up after completing a complete sleep cycle, about 90 minutes. This phenomenon is related to sleep quality and body habits. People's sleep needs vary from person to person. Some people may need more sleep, while others need less. At the same time, the body has a habitual adaptability to a certain sleep cycle and may wake up after completing a complete sleep cycle. If you find yourself always waking up after the same amount of sleep, try observing your sleep habits and trying to get yourself into a better sleep state. A regular sleep schedule, a comfortable sleeping environment, and relaxation techniques may help improve sleep quality and help the body complete the sleep cycle better. However, if the condition affects your daily life or causes fatigue and discomfort, it's a good idea to talk to your doctor to understand how you're sleeping and to rule out any underlying sleep disorders or health issues. Don't be nervous if you sleep less than 8 hours a day. Source: Yahoo News. Modern people are getting busier and busier at work, and the driving time is long. Many people are worried that they cannot get the recommended 8 hours of sleep a day. Will this cause any harm in the long run? From now on, there is no need to worry about sleeping less than 8 hours. The latest research has found that 7 hours of sleep a day is enough for adults, and do not take naps during the day to make up for 8 hours. Otherwise, fragmented sleep will prevent you from sleeping deeply, and may instead cause waste accumulation. The research appears in the Journal of Natural Aging. A 2018 study found that insufficient sleep is harmful to health, but sleeping for 9 or 10 hours a day has more serious negative effects on health. Therefore, scientists are eager to understand how long the most beneficial sleep time should be for the human body. The new study, conducted by the University of Cambridge in the UK and Fudan University in China, analysed nearly 500,000 adults aged between 38 and 73. Their research analysis included survey data on sleep patterns, mental health and well-being, and cognitive tests, and obtained brain imaging and genetic data from nearly 40,000 subjects. The analysis believes that 7 hours is the most beneficial time for health. Helps with sleep time. Researchers say sleeping for too little or too long may be a dangerous sign of age-related cognitive decline. Sleeping too little and insomnia may increase depression, anxiety, and worsen overall health, while always feeling sleepy. If you are not full and sleep for too long, it may be a sign of brain hypoxia, brain degeneration, etc., or even a sign of progressive neuropathy, which will affect your attention, memory, and speed and ability to handle things during the day. Scientists believe that the reason why adults sleep for 7 hours at night is the healthiest, and it is related to the slow-wave deep sleep in sleep. Scientists currently believe that the human body can effectively remove waste and toxic proteins from the brain when it enters deep sleep. 7 hours is just enough to complete 2 to 3 slow waves of deep sleep. If it is too short, there may be only 1 to 2 deep sleep. If the sleep time is too long, it will show that sleep has been interrupted and it is impossible to enter complete deep sleep. Fragmented sleep will increase the accumulation of toxic proteins in the brain. Researchers suggest that whether they are healthy people, the elderly or patients with dementia, if they have healthy sleep, it will help their brain improvement and physical and mental health, and they should find ways to improve their sleep. 25th. Sleeping Beauty Syndrome. Source: ChatGPT. Sleeping Beauty Syndrome, also known as Kleine-Levin syndrome, is a rare neuropsychiatric disorder characterized by recurrent episodes of excessive sleepiness and mood or behavioral abnormalities. People with this syndrome typically experience periodic attacks that last anywhere from days to weeks. During an attack, patients will show an extreme desire to sleep, which may last for more than 18 hours, accompanied by abnormalities in mental status and cognitive function. Some patients may also experience symptoms such as increased appetite, increased sexual drive, or hallucinations. Sleeping Beauty syndrome usually develops in adolescence or early adulthood and is more common in men than women. The condition has a significant impact on patients' daily lives, as the extreme need for sleep during attacks affects their work, school, and social lives. Although the exact cause and mechanism of this syndrome are still not fully understood, some studies suggest that it may be related to the brain's neuromodulatory mechanisms. There is currently no specific treatment, but some patients may benefit from medication to reduce symptoms during an episode. Although the syndrome has a large impact on patients' lives, most patients go into remission over time, and attacks may become less frequent and less intense. If you or someone you know has similar symptoms, it's best to consult a doctor for more accurate diagnosis and treatment recommendations. Source: Wikipedia. Klein-Levin syndrome, KLS, also known as Sleeping Beauty syndrome or recurrent narcolepsy, is an uncommon sleep disorder characterized by persistent episodes of excessive sleepiness and cognitive or mood changes. Many patients experience increased appetite, hypersexuality, or other symptoms. Patients often experience recurring symptoms for more than 10 years, and may relapse in the future. A patient's attack will last for more than a week, sometimes more than a month, and the attack will affect the patient's private life, professional performance, and social life. The severity and course of symptoms vary among individual patients, with patients often experiencing more than 20 attacks over a decade, with attacks possibly occurring many months apart. Patients report losing focus on everything and being hypersensitive to sound and light. Some female patients will develop depression. Symptoms often appear after a viral infection, and several specific viruses are known to trigger the syndrome. Diagnosis can only be confirmed by excluding other similar diseases. MRI, computed tomography, lumbar puncture, and toxicology tests can be used to help rule out the possibility of other conditions. The pathological mechanism is currently unclear, but it is believed to be likely to be related to the optic thalamus. Single photon emission computed tomography, SPECT, showed that the patient had insufficient blood supply to the optic thalamus during the disease, English, thalamic hypoperfusion, condition. Klein-Levin syndrome is so rare that only about 1 in a million people have it, so research can only attribute congenital factors. It mainly affects adolescent males, but females may also be affected but at different ages. There is currently no known cure and evidence for pharmacological treatment is lacking. Case reports indicate that some patients taking lithium have reduced onset, shortened the length of onset, and the time between onsets. Studies have shown that stimulants can be used to weaken sleepiness symptoms, but do not help cognitive symptoms, English, cognitive symptoms, or shorten onset. Length. Klein-Levin syndrome was named after Willi Klein and Max Levin, who described the syndrome in the early 20th century until 1990. This syndrome was included in the International Classification of Sleep Disorders, English, International Classification of Sleep Disorders. 26th 70-day bed rest experiment. NASA's experimental project challenged 70 days of lying still, with a prize of $18,000. Participants came back and said it was too difficult to earn. Source: PixNet. Remember that a while ago, NASA announced an experimental plan. As long as you are willing to lie still for 70 days, they will give you 18,000 US dollars, approximately NT dollar 580,000. The 28-year-old man named Andrew Iwanicki was also one of the subjects. After returning successfully, he decided to share his experience with everyone on the internet, telling you that behind the money is actually full of suffering and torture. It's actually not that easy to make money. He participated in this project called CFT-70, which aims to study the changes in the human body under microgravity to help astronauts return to Earth as soon as possible to return to normal. In 2013, Andrew accidentally saw this news on Reddit, and immediately decided to sign up with a fun attitude. Unexpectedly, the NASA research team actually contacted him within a week, after a few cups of tea, and after reading for 20 or 30 years, Andrew after Page's family history, others began preparing for the experiment in Texas. When Andrew was interviewed, he said that the first 5 days of the entire experiment were the most difficult. At that time, his physical and mental conditions could not be coordinated, and the novelty quickly passed. I have never let my body be so still in my life. I had to move, but I later discovered that I could only lie down and couldn't even sit up, which made the whole process even more difficult. My body couldn't get used to lying down for such a long time. Due to lying down for a long time, the blood pressure rushed straight to the forehead, causing a severe headache, and then the spine began. It was really difficult to keep the body parallel to the ground. They said that after lying in bed for several days, the spine there is no way to support the pressure caused by the weight inside my body. After a few days I was finally able to release some of the pressure from my body by curling up in bed. I could stretch my back and other stress on my body. I spent many days rolling around just to get my spine used to it. Pressure from other organs in the body such as the stomach. Don't you think this is bad enough? Andrew continued. My sleep time is strictly controlled. I turn off the lights at 10 o'clock in the evening and get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The most terrible joke is that you must not take a nap. How can you not fall asleep after lying in bed all day? It's really difficult, cruel. During the test, the only time that belonged to me was when I went to the toilet. The nurse would come and close the curtains around the bed. The door to the room is always open, so even if he talks quietly on the phone, everyone will hear him. As for how to take a bath, Andrew said that the nurse would push him into the bathroom, move him to the plastic bed, close the door and leave. There were no windows at all, it was a completely enclosed space, and there was only a shower head. To pass the time, Andrew read a lot as he was preparing to enter law school. He also plays StarCraft or watches movies. There is a table next to Andrew's bed to put things on, and a special stand that allows him to use his laptop very comfortably. When he is tired, he can raise his hands to relax his muscles. This is almost how he kills time every day. Of course, during this period, there were brief visits from relatives and friends, but the most difficult time was when his girlfriend came to see him. When the girlfriend saw Andrew, Of course she jumped onto the bed happily, but was immediately stopped by the staff. They could only hold hands, but were not allowed to have any intimate actions such as kissing or hugging. Basically, during the 3 days when his girlfriend visited, she could only sit by the bed and chat with him. Tears and frustration were inevitable, of course, but he still felt it was worth it, even though the next meeting might be 2 months away. The nutritional content and calories of the food inside were generally accurately calculated. Andrew did not gain weight or lose weight at all before and after the experiment. The food is generally similar to what you would find in a cafe, and is generally pretty good, but they are also quite strict in this regard, that is, there must be no food left. No matter how much ketchup or syrup you are given for waffles, you must eat them all. And eating is also a very difficult part. After all, people usually don't lie down when eating, right? At most, Andrew could only use his hands or elbows to support himself, and he could no longer eat at a smaller angle. NASA personnel are very strict about keeping the head in a direction that can bring food to the mouth. Eating while lying down is really difficult. After all, due to gravity, the food usually goes all the way to your stomach, so it is easy to digest. But when you lie down, the food just lingers in that area of your chest. So you'll be full quickly. So how many days did you stay there? Andrew calculated that the total was 105 days, and he received $17,800, nearly NT $580,000, but tax of $5,000, approximately NT $160,000, was deducted. According to him, after working such hours, he only earns $10, approximately NT $325, an hour, but of course the food and accommodation are free. Of course, this torturous experiment allows subjects to give up midway, but Andrew said that from 25,000 participants, NASA selected a total of 55 people, and everyone was willing to endure until the end, except for one of them because of an irregular heartbeat. Forced to quit due to health reasons. For the first time in 70 days, I stood up. Or rather, I tried to stand up. The nurse pushed me to a hospital bed that could be adjusted to a vertical position. They wrapped a blood pressure cuff around my arms and fingers, connected to my heart with an ultrasound machine. They encouraged me to try to stand for 15 minutes like they would a toddler. When the bed was adjusted to an upright position, my legs felt heavier than they had ever felt. My heartbeat reached 150 beats per minute. My skin felt itchy and I was sweating all over. The blood rushed to my lower limbs, dilating the blood vessels that had become extra elastic due to months of bed rest. I felt like I was about to faint. One day at first, I could barely support myself, but then it became increasingly difficult. In about 8 minutes, my pulse dropped from 150 to 70, and my body was about to collapse. My vision went dark, and the staff found that the various symptoms displayed on the instrument, the physical signs plummeted, and the hospital bed was quickly adjusted to a level. It was not until later that they told me that none of the seniors who had participated in NASA's bed rest experiment could last for 15 minutes. Even with all the nerve-wracking moments along the way, Andrew made it through. As I was pushed through the glass doors of the hospital, I felt the sun on my skin for the first time in more than 2 months. It was the first time I had a good look at the blue sky, white clouds, and everything else. Things, instead of the pale walls and ceilings in the hospital. I can't suppress the smile on my face. Everything that I have been deprived of makes me feel grateful again for all the simple and beautiful things in this world. After the experiment ended, it actually took Andrew a long time to return to his old life. Although he lost his original job as an art director, a week later he received an invitation from NASA to participate in a bed group research experiment. I say goodbye to the staff one by one and thank them deeply. Despite my complaints, the entire team is a good person. They smartly designed and completed a great feat. The process worried us more than anyone else. In good health. I am truly grateful for their dedication, hard work, and support. My bank account is $18,000 richer, and I feel more free than ever from an agreement outside of state and federal law. Even more precious. I have no regrets. While I was drinking a super expensive Bloody Mary in the airport terminal, I found out about a new research project that requires participants infected with a strain of influenza virus to pay for 10 days. $4,000. Who says I can't try again? 27th. The side effects of not being exposed to sunlight for a long time. Source: ChatGPT. Not being exposed to sunlight for long periods of time can cause some health problems because sunlight has an important impact on the human body. The following are some possible side effects of long-term lack of exposure to sunlight. Vitamin D deficiency. Sunlight is one of the main sources of vitamin D synthesized by the body. Long-term lack of sun exposure may lead to vitamin D deficiency, which may affect calcium absorption and increase the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. Emotional and psychological issues. Sunlight has an important impact on emotional and mental health, and long-term lack of sunlight can lead to depression, anxiety, and emotional instability. Immune system problems. Sunlight contributes to the normal function of the immune system. Long-term lack of sunlight may lead to decreased immune system function and increase the risk of infectious diseases. Sleep problems. Sunlight helps regulate the body's biological clock and maintain a normal sleep cycle. Long-term lack of sunlight may lead to sleep problems such as insomnia or decreased sleep quality. Skin problems. Long-term lack of exposure to sunlight may lead to dry skin, uneven skin pigmentation and other problems. To maintain good health, it is important to ensure the right amount of sun exposure. However, overexposure can also be harmful, so moderate exposure to the sun should be done in the morning or afternoon when the sun is milder, while using appropriate sun protection to avoid overexposure. If you've been out of the sun for a long time, it's a good idea to talk to your doctor about the precautions you should take. Not being exposed to the sun for a long time can lead to autonomic nervous system disorder. Source: Taiwan Xinchen News. Autonomic nervous system disorder refers to a series of symptoms, such as fatigue, dry mouth, palpitations, etc. caused by imbalanced nerve functions. Wu Jiandong, a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine at Linsen Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Beijing United Medical College, said that patients with depression and panic disorder are also prone to such symptoms. He suggested that people should still be exposed to the sun moderately to avoid being out of the sun for a long time, causing bad mood, and then developing symptoms. Symptoms of autonomic nervous system disorders. Wu Jiandong said that the so-called autonomic nerves are nerves that cannot be controlled by one's own thoughts, including sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. These two nerves act on many organs at the same time, allowing the body to maintain physiological functions without thinking. Two types of nerves will work in different situations. For example, the sympathetic nerve will be excited when fight or flight is needed, such as accelerated heartbeat, dilated pupils, reduced gastrointestinal motility, reduced urine secretion, etc. to cope with emergency situations. The parasympathetic nerves are excited during rest, such as slowed heartbeat, constricted pupils, increased gastrointestinal motility, increased urine secretion, etc., to provide daily needs. Therefore, these two types of nerves are antagonistic to each other and will react oppositely to the same organ. If you are in a stressful situation for too long, the sympathetic nerves will become more excited. Wu Jiandong further explained that if the concept of autonomic nervous system is explained from the perspective of organs in traditional Chinese medicine, it can be found that it is relatively similar to the liver of the internal organs in traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine believes that the liver is the general's official and is responsible for the heart of the monarch's official. That is to say, the instructions given by the center are transmitted to other organs, and the liver is responsible for dispersion and regulating emotions. Liver disease in traditional Chinese medicine is also similar to the common autonomic nervous system disorder, and because the liver governs dispersion of other organs, if there is diarrhea, the liver will lose its function, which will also affect other organs. The doctor emphasized that autonomic nervous system disorder is not a disease in medicine, but a syndrome. There may be many causes, and there are many kinds of diseases that cause these symptoms, such as depression, panic disorder, etc. People often stay at home, and rarely people who sunbathe for a long time are also prone to poor mood and autonomic nervous system disorders. Depending on the affected organs, symptoms such as fatigue, dry mouth, palpitations, dizziness, and headache, anxiety and panic, arrhythmia, postural hypotension, shortness of breath, and stomach pain may occur. Because autonomic nerves are distributed almost all over the body, the symptoms are quite diverse. Wu Jiandong said that traditional Chinese medicine believes that autonomic nervous system disorders are similar to the descriptions of irritability, palpitation, running pigs, and Lilly disease in classics. The causes are mostly disorders of anger, joy, worry, sadness, fear, and fear that occur after long-term stress or emotional changes. Down, the internal organs are injured by excessive changes in emotions. For example, some people are prone to palpitations, which may be partly related to abnormal emotions that damage the internal organs. Traditional Chinese medicine believes that anger damages the liver, happiness damages the heart, worry damages the spleen, sadness damages the lungs, fear damages the kidneys, etc., and these injured organs will affect each other and produce a series of symptoms. Wu Jiandong pointed out that the most common physical condition associated with autonomic nervous system disorders is yin deficiency. Heart yin deficiency is prone to palpitations and irregular heartbeats. Liver qi stagnation is common with anxiety, upset, and irritability. Spleen yin deficiency can lead to bloating, stomach pain, and indigestion, especially dry mouth. If yin deficiency is severe, it will further lead to yang hyperactivity. Fire, prone to hot flashes, night sweats, bitter mouth and dry throat. Doctors say that some develop into what Chinese medicine calls internal wind, with symptoms of dizziness, twitching and trembling. If the illness lasts for a long time, phlegm heat may occur, disturbing the mind, causing panic, and other symptoms similar to mental illness. He said that the main treatment for autonomic nervous system disorders is to treat emotions, and helping patients find the cause is the most important treatment method. Some autonomic nervous system disorders are symptoms caused by hormonal changes during menopause, that is, menopausal syndrome. Others, such as post-traumatic stress syndrome caused by major accidents, malnutrition due to excessive dieting, or menstrual cramps, can all cause autonomic nervous system disorders. After the cause is found and eliminated, the symptoms can be cured. 28th. Serotonin. Source: ChatGPT. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter also known as 5-hydroxytryptamine, 5-HT. It plays an important regulatory role in the nervous system and other parts of the body. Neurotransmitter, serotonin carries signals between neurons and regulates mood, sleep, cognitive function, appetite, social behavior, and more. It has strong links to mood states, well-being, and depression. Digestive system. Serotonin also plays an important role in the gastrointestinal tract, regulating intestinal motility, digestion, and the function of intestinal mucosal cells. Most of the serotonin in the body is found in the intestines. Vasoconstriction and platelet aggregation. Serotonin regulates vasoconstriction on the blood vessel wall and affects platelet aggregation, which has a certain impact on the function of the cardiovascular system. A lack of serotonin may be linked to mood disorders, such as depression, sleep problems, anxiety, and digestive problems. Some antidepressant drugs, such as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, treat depression by regulating serotonin levels. However, the function of serotonin in the body is very complex, and there are many other factors that can affect its activity and levels. The exact role of serotonin and its relationship to various health conditions continues to be explored in scientific research. Source: Wikipedia. Serotonin, English, serotonin, full name serotonin, also known as 5-hydroxytryptamine and serotonin, referred to as 5-HT, is a monoamine neurotransmitter, which is converted from tryptophan into 5-hydroxytryptophan by tryptophan hydroxylase. Hydroxytryptophan is synthesized in central neurons and enterochromaffin cells in the digestive tract of animals, including humans, via 5-hydroxytryptophan decarboxylase. Serotonin is primarily found in the gastrointestinal tract, platelets, and central nervous system of animals, including humans. It is widely believed to be a contributor to feelings of happiness and joy. The content of serotonin in the brain is 2% of the total, 90% of which is located in mucosal enterochromaffin cells and myenteric plexus, participating in the regulation of intestinal peristalsis. The 5-HT that enters the bloodstream from the intestinal mucosa is mainly taken up by platelets. 8%–9% is located in platelets. Because 5-HT cannot pass through the blood-brain barrier, the central and peripheral systems can be regarded as two independent systems. Approximately 90% of the body's total serotonin is located in chromaffin cells in the gastrointestinal tract, where it regulates intestinal motility. Serotonin is secreted in the intestine and basal surface, thereby increasing the absorption of serotonin by platelets. Activation of serotonin increases the stimulation of the myenteric plexus, affecting the rate of intestinal motility. The remaining 90% of serotonin in the central nervous system is synthesized from neurons and has various functions, including regulating mood, appetite, and sleep. Serotonin also has some cognitive functions, including memory and learning. Synaptic regulation of serotonin is thought to be the primary action of several classes of antidepressant drugs. Serotonin secreted by chromaffin cells eventually exits the tissues and enters the bloodstream. It is actively absorbed by platelets and stores it. When platelets clump together, platelets release serotonin, which acts as a vasoconstrictor and helps regulate blood clotting and stop bleeding. Serotonin is also a growth factor for certain cells, which plays a role in wound healing. There are various serotonin receptors. Serotonin is mainly metabolized by the liver to 5-hydroxyindoleacetic acid, 5-HIAA. Metabolism involves first oxidation to the corresponding aldehyde by monoamine oxidase. It is then oxidized by aldehyde dehydrogenase to 5-hydroxyindoleacetic acid, 5-HIAA, an indolacetic acid derivative. The latter is then excreted by the kidneys. In addition to animals, serotonin is also found in fungi and plants. Serotonin is present in insect venom and plant stings and can cause pain, a side effect of serotonin injections. Serotonin is produced by pathogenic amoeba and its effect on the intestine is to cause diarrhea. Its widespread presence in many seeds and fruits may help stimulate the digestive tract to expel seeds, helping plants to seed. Serotonin is found in many fungi and plants, and humans must obtain tryptophan through food. The effects of 5-HT involve multiple physiological systems, especially closely related to arousal level, sleep-wake cycle, mood, food, and sexual behavior. Animal experiments have shown that when the levels of serotonin in animals are increased, the animal's mutual aggression is significantly reduced. Serotonin is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that was first discovered in serum. It is widely present in mammalian tissues and has high levels in the cerebral cortex and nerve synapses. In peripheral tissues, serotonin is a strong vasoconstrictor and stimulator of smooth muscle contraction. Serotonin also enhances memory and protects neurons from damage by excitatory neurotoxins. Glutamic acid, for example, is highly toxic to damaged nerve cells, so sufficient serotonin can prevent brain damage during the aging process. Excessive amounts of serotonin can cause serotonin syndrome, with symptoms ranging from mild to severe, including high fever, agitation, hyperreflexia, tremors, dilated pupils, diarrhea, and fever. 29th. Encephalitis lethargy. Source: ChatGPT. Encephalitis lethargica is a rare disease that first appeared between 1917 and 1928 and then gradually disappeared. It is described as a viral or immune-mediated disease that affects the central nervous system and is characterized by drowsiness and extreme drowsiness. Patients often exhibit unusual drowsiness and sometimes coma. This lethargy can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. Movement disorders. Patients may develop movement disorders, including muscle stiffness, muscle weakness, or abnormal movements. Cognitive and psychological symptoms. Some patients may experience cognitive decline, mood instability, or cognitive impairment during recovery. Although the disease was active in the past, it is now extremely rare and few new cases have been reported. Its causes and pathogenesis remain incompletely understood. Some studies indicate that it may be caused by viral infection or immune system abnormalities. Treatment for this disease is usually symptomatic and supportive, giving patients appropriate care, support, and medications to relieve symptoms. There is currently no effective treatment. Although the current pathogenesis and treatment of encephalitis lethargica still need to be further studied and understood, because the disease is extremely rare, the medical community has paid relatively little research and attention to it. Source: Wikipedia. Encephalitis lethargica, English, encephalitis lethargica, also known as encephalitis or sleepy sickness, sleeping/sleepy sickness, is an atypical encephalitis. The disease was first reported in 1917 by the Austrian neurologist Konstantin von Economer. This disease is not African sleeping sickness, which is spread by the tsetse fly, nor is it meningococcal meningitis, meningococcal meningitis. The disease affects the brain, leaving some patients unable to speak or even move. From 1915 to 1926, the disease experienced a global pandemic, with more than 1 million people infected and 500,000 deaths estimated to have occurred. After that, there were only sporadic cases but no large-scale outbreaks. Conclusion. Is it true that plant life is the truth?